Hey everybody, it's your friend Adam. Says I'm live. I'm trying the new kind of OBS-ish or Streamlabs-ish interface on Google Studio. They're trying to get us YouTubers to all use Google or YouTube Studio now. So it's an interesting panel. I'm giving it a shot. I did it on a smaller channel. I think I know enough to do it on, I guess, is this my main channel? I don't know that this is my main channel. This is my artist screw around channel. So I saw this video, One Species, a frequent detractor of the Sitch and Friended show, sent this to me on Twitter. And I thought it was pretty hilarious because it's your typical SJW stuff. They don't really like arguments. The only argument they seem to make is that so-and-so is a grifter or has done something unacceptable, and therefore we should throw them out of the community. So therefore they are a bad guy, and nobody should ever listen to them. Anything they say is suspect, and we should just ignore. Even though people can be bad people and still get arguments right. They can still have great arguments. And you know me, I'm one for arguments. So I just thought I would take a look at this video, this SJW Grifter. They really like this word grifter these days. So I think using it in full force is really the way to go. It's so funny. It's so funny. This video is hilarious. This video is irony off the charts. So, and since he's a very, very small time grifter, just I think he's got 1,000 subs or barely 1,000 subs. He's new to the YouTube grifting game. I thought since I have a nice big channel, I'd give him a leg up. I would point out his inadequate grifting abilities, and maybe other people could find his channel. Who knows? He will probably get, the way this usually goes is the SJWs really have an advantage in fundraising, because I'm not sure why, but I think a lot of progressives are very, well, they're well off, and their kids are well off, and they feel a little bit guilty about that. So the way that they deal with that guilt is by giving to various social justice causes. And a lot of times those social justice causes these days are social justice YouTubers, Patreons. So they can rake in the Patreon dollars. So I don't see the right side of the political spectrum. I don't see having those huge Patreons like I do on the left. Some do, like Steven Crowder obviously is a huge YouTuber. Like I'm sure he's got a big fat Patreon. I'm sure the Mug Club is obviously the Mug Club is very successful, but I'm talking more in the smaller realm. I always look at smaller YouTubers that have a social justice bent, and I'm amazed at how large their Patreons are. So I have my eyes on the chat. What's the name of the channel? Nerdette Newsstand asks. It is Actual Context, I think is the name of the guy. He wears a mask. He's anonymous. I was anonymous for a long time on YouTube, and I'm in favor of anyone who wants to be anonymous being anonymous. The internet is pretty much, it can be an unsavory place. So if you want to stay anonymous, you have every right to do so, especially if you're young and you're learning. You may say things and you may change your mind on them in the future. I don't want you to be locked into any positions that you could actually have incorrect. That's the nice thing about learning. I've always taken the attitude that I'm willing to change my positions if I am shown evidence that shows my positions are wrong. So hell yeah, I'm willing to change my positions. So I'm sure, and it's funny, one of the reasons why I hate this kind of grifter stuff, the social justice warriors, they like to search for clips of you and take them out of context. So if you change your positions over time, and I've been on YouTube, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years now. If you change your positions over time, which human beings do as they grow and age and learn new things, they will take clips from 3 years ago and they will marry those clips with something that you said yesterday. And they will say, look, this motherfucker's making contradictions. You can't trust him. Kick him out of the tribe. Get rid of him. which is a nasty, 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 grifterish, smear tactic thing to do. But, you can't trust these people. These people, they have an ideological axe to grind. They don't care about what's right. They don't care about principles because they live in a world where everyone, we're at war with racism. We're at war with oppression. So therefore, if you're oppressed, you can play dirty. And I agree with that to some extent. I mean, if you literally are being oppressed, if you're being enslaved and you need to play dirty to take care of that, if we're dealing with an actual Hitler who's genociding people, I think maybe you can play loose and fast with the rules in that kind of situation. You should. But the whole thing these people do is they pretend we're in that situation and then play fast and loose and dirty with the rules because they to themselves think that we're on the verge of the next Holocaust, which just, it's not good. It's not fair. It's not right. So I try to keep that in mind. So I got eyes halfway on the chat. I'm trying to entertain you guys. I'm trying to keep talking at the same time. It's very difficult for me. I'm dyslexic. Many of you know. So dyslexic, I think, is short for mentally disabled. So I don't read very well. I am kind of looking through your chats a bit. So yes, I will start the video here. Let me just take a little sip of water here. And I think I might even be able, one species I was going to look at this video with, but every time I message one species on Twitter, it seems to be a bad time for him. So I never really know what a good time for him is, and he's a little bit difficult to communicate with, so it's a little bit difficult to organize these things. So if he shows up in the chat, I might invite him on. I might invite this actual context guy on and see if he can defend his positions in real time. A lot of times these guys who do videos, I had this with Rationality Rules as well. They don't want to do debates. Well, Rationality Rules will do a debate. He's done a debate now with Sargon. If it's someone that he could chase clout, if he's able to chase clout, yeah, he jumps on a live stream. He'll jump on a live stream in a hot minute if it's an opportunity to increase his social status in the YouTube hierarchy. He's all in. The lowly old Adam, just a lowly little sidekick with my little sidekick channel. Sometimes not a lot of clout comes out here, but I can get some clout chasers from some of these tiny channels like actual context who might jump on here because, there's a little, he sees my clout is tiny. I have this teeny weeny tiny little clout. And Adam friended the great and powerful YouTuber, long living YouTuber, has a lot more clout than me. I might jump on here. So we might roust him out of his hole, but let me see if I can get to this. If there's any super important questions that you want to hit me with, you could at me, because then I think I'll be able to see those. So what's up, Troll with a Purpose? What's up, Gil Master Skarma? What's up, Blue Sea Hill? See some familiar faces in the chat. Nice to see you guys. Here is the video. The video. Oh, I did that thing. The first thing.
I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, just laid down massive fucking wreckage. And everybody can't hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm dying.
So this is a very artsy intro he has here. This is us. This is supposed to be us here. Us, oh my God. Oh no, we're all, his intro is about the death of the comic book industry. This is us. Oh my God. The comic book industry is dying. Holy shit. This girl here, though, the girl that he picked here, I don't know. Does this girl look like a girl who's like really lamenting over the death of the comic book industry? This girl looks like she's lamenting over how The Bachelor turned out. And the wrong people got married on The Bachelor.
Honestly, I can hardly breathe. I'm going to step inside while I cannot see it.
Here he is. He's crying. He's crying over his comics.
Charlie, that's terrible. Listen, folks, I'm going to have to stop for a minute.
I don't totally understand the mask thing, the anonymous mask thing. When I was anonymous, I had an avatar, but I never did the mask thing. It's funny, Cecil does a mask and he seems to pull it off, but 90% of the people I see in a mask, I think this person is a serial killer. One of the interesting things too is I commented on this video and I said, psychology advice from a guy in a mask with the laughing face, and he pinned the comment. I'm like, what? That's just an offhanded comment. I just made a joke. Not to be pinned.
Because they have lots of voices, the worst thing I've ever witnessed.
Have you heard the awful news? I can't believe it.
Wormy's already here. Wormy wants to say hi to you guys. He wants to say hello. Say hello, Wormy. Say hello. Okay, he's just here to bug me.
DC Comics, they're gonna close down. They're closing for business. Have you heard it, guys? Can you believe this? No more DC Comics. No more Batman. No more Superman. I can't even process this. How is it possible? Let's get some context. But first, there are a few ways to support actual context and the content to help.
See? Yeah, there you go. Already he's pitching the Patreon. Right there it is. Watch, his Patreon is going to be like double tomorrow. Just for me doing this video. It's so crazy. He's like, I'm basically going to assess his arguments and they are going to take this as a full-scale attack just because I called him an SJW grifter in the title, which everyone knows. YouTube and Rationality Rules accuse me of this too. Like, you got to be a little clickbait in your titles, otherwise nobody's going to click on them, okay? I didn't even do a custom thumbnail for this video, so I really do not care that much about views or any of that stuff. I'm just kind of doing this for fun. This video I thought was funny. I thought there was a lot of irony. I thought there is a lot of just that. It's the opposite of I think it's the ad hominem fallacy. When you just say, this guy's a shithead and therefore you shouldn't listen to him, you don't really address the argument. It's the opposite of the appeal to authority fallacy, where you're saying, this guy is an authority and therefore we should listen to him, and you don't actually look at the evidence in the argument. So there's so much of that in this video that I thought, okay, this is a textbook case of the smear campaign that the social media has created, where people realize, hey, I can smear this person if I just create a powerful lie in video format. And that's what I'm going to do. That's going to get me a lot of attention. I'm going to get a lot of outrage clicks here. It's really going to work out well for me.
Keep this content coming, getting better, and seen by that you.
We'll just skip this part. I didn't really know what the forced adversity means. I don't know what he means by that, but maybe that's the name of his show.
All right, so all you Bat fans, Super Stans, Wonder Woman, Speedsters, and Emerald Knights, should you be freaking out right now? Are DC Comics...
I am! I'm freaking out! Holy shit, I'm triggered as fuck!
About to go way up in value due to the printers being mothballed. Well, let's look at where the rumors are coming from.
I just print my own comics. I go down to the Kinko's, get my photocopier out.
First of all, the firing of longtime DC head Dan DiDio this week was indeed a shock to everyone interested, myself included. But DiDio has been treading on thin ice for a long time, from what I can tell, with a lot of DC's...
Notice he says, from what I can tell. Like, he doesn't have any insider information. He's like, I read the same articles you guys read. He's been treading on thin ice for a long time. You know, from what I can tell. The guy who knows. I don't know shit about this stuff. I'm only here. The only reason I'm making this video is to take a swing at ComicsGate. I don't know anything about this Dan DiDio stuff, but I did do some digging on the guy who wrote the article about this stuff. I don't need to address any of the arguments in the actual article. I don't need to address any of those. I did some digging on the guy that wrote it, so we know he's a scumbag.
More recent failures, most notably the New 52, being his executive editorial mandate. His history of making risky moves that piss fans off and don't really pay off, pretty well documented. But the firing, by all legitimate accounts, seems to be based on his interpersonal management style, more than his editorial choices.
Now, where did he get that from? For all we know, this guy has like a Me Too coming out like in 2 months, and they wanted to get out ahead of it. We don't know why this guy was fired.
This event created fertile ground for hack fan sites to speculate that DC is being bought by Marvel and other silly claims with zero merit or supporting evidence.
There's lots of money in speculation, so I'm all for it. Go ahead, speculate.
Alleged news of DC's end was reported by Cosmic Book News, a fan website with a regressive anti-fan bent. Cosmic Book News is borderline fashy, and they make their bacon by lying, pushing the woke agenda myth, and targeted harassment against critics of ComicsGate or anyone they consider an SJW. The site's owner, Matt McGloin, is a known...
Yeah, just so you guys know, don't go target this guy, okay? I don't want any targeted harassment in his comment section. Notice how all the argument is smear, smear, smear. Every single ad hom he could throw at the publisher of this article is where he's starting. I don't even think he gets into the article.
Known egotist with delusions of grandeur, as seen when he not only doxed Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn and sent his site's followers on a harassment campaign against him, but then...
Okay, so he doxed James Gunn and sent a harassment campaign against him, okay? What's in the article? What is his argument? What is this guy's argument?
Proclaimed that his little hack fan site is responsible for the success of the Guardians films. Sorry, not the success, but the very creation of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. According to this dude, all due to him. So right off the bat, we know Cosmic Book News is a hack fraud moron who sees himself as way more relevant and powerful than he is. For this guy to somehow believe that he has anything to do with the success of the franchise that Disney wisely adapted into film format dismisses the brilliant work done by Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, Kevin Feige, James Gunn, and...
Okay, so I don't know if this guy is a scumbag or not. You know, that's not really why I'm doing this video. Like, maybe he's a scumbag, maybe he's a fascist, maybe he's a white nationalist, ethno-state lover, or whatever. I don't know. It's fascinating to me that you are only attacking the person. You're not attacking the argument, which is just bad. Dude, bad. Attack the argument. Make an argument. Make an argument. Your argument right now is it's an ad hominem fallacy. This guy is borderline fascist, therefore he can't possibly have an argument that could be correct, which is that's fallacious reasoning, dude. That's loser think.
Anyone who actually put work into seeing that risky vision come to life and become a worldwide blockbuster. The story of DC Comics' demise was then picked up by an even smaller, even more absurd website called Bounding Into Comics, which, along with their comic and film news, it distorts with toxicity and anti-fandom agendas.
This guy's like, is this not amazing comedy here? This is like buzzword salad here. Toxicity and anti-fandom targeting.
Also covers things like former YouTuber and current Nazi...
Oh, God. Oh, no. The whole shut the website down. They covered Nick Fuentes. Did they... Hold on. Do we even know if they covered Nick Fuentes in a positive light or a negative light? Maybe they did a smear campaign on Nick Fuentes. I don't think he says.
And catboy fetishist Nick Fuentes. Why are they covering him? I don't know, free speech, I guess. Bounding into
Look at that. Oh, that just totally triggers me. Ooh, I might actually get triggered here. I don't know, free speech, I guess. We don't need that shit. None of us need free speech or anything. Oh man. I am definitely not a free speech absolutist, but I'm pretty damn close to it. I mean, we have laws covered against defamation and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a case to be made that a lot of the social justice tactics here, the tactics included in this video, are defamation. I mean, that's what they're looking to do. They're looking to smear people's character. They're not looking to counter their arguments.
Comics has also covered notorious anti-fandom campaigns like the Tardigrade lawsuit against CBS and Star Trek, and the ongoing lawsuit by infamous dickhead Richard Meyer.
Holy shit, this guy is literally saying that this website sucks because they covered this stuff. Because they covered this stuff? Is that what you're saying here? Because they covered news events? Please.
Against legendary comic writer Mark Waid. Both of those examples, when you dig down into them, are clearly attempts by toxic fans to own the SJWs and rewrite history as to what comic books and Trek have always been about. Just like any fascist government,
oh my God. It's just an attempt to rewrite history. Okay. Are we going to get to an argument here sometime soon? Mr. Actual Context?
Goal of these fashy little websites and figures is to distort history.
So he's saying their goal is to smear us. Maybe that's why he's doing this, because he's like, their goal is to smear us. Our goal should be to smear them. So truth be damned, free speech be damned. Just full on smear campaign on everyone. Come on, dude. You don't want to live in that world. Well, listen, you are literally wearing a mask right now because you know that shit goes on and you don't want to be targeted by it. We have to fight against that.
Remove context and create their ideal version of a concept, whether it's saying patriotism somehow means hating Muslims and Hispanic people, or just that comics and Star Trek are somehow not about fighting for social justice and progressing humanity.
Notice how he reframed patriotism as hating brown people. Oh man, I think we got a live one here. I think we got one deep in the social justice ideological bubble. Very sad.
Humanity away from its darker urges.
I guess seriously, if you're going to frame patriotism as hating brown people, like, how do you sustain a military in that environment? Guess what, dude? We need a military. We need to protect ourselves because it's a vicious, ugly world out there. And if we don't protect ourselves, people will take advantage of us.
The comments on the articles of Bounding into Comics reveal the mentally unstable and delusional nature of the type of fan that they cater to. Or I should say, type of...
Oh, I love it. I love it when they go into the comment section. They go into the comment section and they find the most incendiary comment whatsoever. And it's this fallacy that because this one person said something incendiary, that all the people who have read this article believe the stupid shit that one person said. Come on, man. I think that one's called the ecological fallacy. Just a tip of the fedora to you, man.
Of anti-fan. Along with those two websites, another one of the first sites to come up when you Google this is We Got This Covered, which is just another of these ubiquitous websites that you'll see all over Facebook, if for some reason you still use that garbage platform.
Yeah, screw Facebook. Fuck Friended.
These three sites in particular pepper their comics news with alt-right and anti-fandom talking points about SJWs, wokeness.
Oh my God. Bounding into Comics has alt-right talking points. Ugh, these people. This is ridiculous. This is totally ridiculous.
Etc.
Well, it's some hilarities coming up right here. Listen, so he's basically throwing out all these social justice buzzwords, right? Alt-right, borderline fasci, like all this stuff he's saying. You know, everybody's a fascist, everybody's a racist. Patriotism is racism. All this stuff, right? All this incendiary stuff. Now keep that in mind. It's gonna come up later.
Websites like these often just snag the most sensational rumor and shitposts from Reddit or even just Twitter, and write entire articles about it as if they have some insider source. This is no different from Doomcock using an anonymous 4chan post.
Look at this. He's coming after Doomcock. Saint Doomcock, I do not approve of this. He's defiling your good avatar.
which, if you watched that video last week, turned out to be kind of a bad idea for the son of Doom Chud. It's the internet, comic book, video game, movie version of the National Enquirer.
Listen to this. The National Enquirer. Hell yeah, we know how to sell. We know how to sell a story here.
Where they prey on people's tendency to only read a headline and run with that as an absolute certainty. Look, I used to write for a fan site that was better in content, but still a pretty similar, cheap fan site designed to appear like we were some real journalistic outlet. This was back in my early days of being a writer. I've moved on.
He's moved on now. This is back in the early days. Oh man, guy, people are going to be digging up those early articles. They are. They're going to be the exact kind of stuff that you're engaging in now is going to be engaged in with you. They're going to pull those old clips, put them side by side with your new stuff. Going to call you a flip flopper. They're going to say he contradicted himself. Look at that. Can't trust this guy.
Since then, but those sites have no ethics and in fact often intentionally push outrage and sensationalism just for page views. Social media is ripe for this kind of trash because it's all made to achieve maximum shock and minimal questioning of the source. And the reason I quit the site that I worked 4 years ago was because my editor wanted to compete with those kinds of websites. And he was urging me to up the outrage, so I quit.
He was urging me to up the outrage, so I quit and started upping the outrage on my own personal YouTube channel where I could make tons more money working for myself. Now, donate to my Patreon while I make you outraged at all of these alt-right buzzwords that I'm throwing at you. Oh, the irony is rich here. 10 out of 10 for irony, guy. 10 out of 10.
But in this case, the DC Comics closing down rumor comes from one very specific and insidious...
I do, on a production note here, I do wonder, from a filmmaking perspective, his audio is so good that he's obviously not recording it with that mask on. I think he's recording the audio afterwards or beforehand, but I'm not exactly sure which. He probably records the audio into a microphone like I'm doing now, so you get that good, crisp audio. And then he listens to the audio himself and does his gestures and hands and, you know, pretending like he's talking. So just imagine him sitting here right now in a room, listening to his previous recorded message and doing all of these hand gestures. And it completely, it takes the authenticity right out of it. I hate to tell you this, guy, but YouTube is an authenticity game. People want real on YouTube. When people want this kind of polished media, they go to the frickin' movies and watch Star Wars. They go see a blockbuster movie, okay? Something that somebody spent $200 million creating. They're not coming here to look at you with your synced audio track to your facial head tips.
Source, one which does deceptively have actual ties to the comic industry, though not in the way that his sycophants like to believe. This rumor...
He called us sycophants! The rage! Sycophants! Oh man, this guy, all he knows is name calling. Have I called him any names? I don't know if I have. I'm thinking I might throw a chud out here if I'm feeling it. If I'm feeling it. Well, you guys, I don't see any ats at me. You guys must be arguing amongst yourselves. I feel like, are you even listening to me? Listen to me, for heaven's sake. Stop fighting in the chat. Hold on, Enlightened Centrist doesn't have a wrench? What the hell is wrong with me? Enlightened Centrist with a name like that, you got to give him a wrench. You got to give him a wrench. Look, I voted today. Did you guys vote today? Oh, you're not all voting because you're not all in America, for one, and you're not all in California, which California is Super Tuesday. Should be interesting to see what happens. My setup is a little messed up here. I might have to try to move things around a little here. Fuck it.
About DC Comics publishing arm closing down if their 5G event this year is unsuccessful comes like many fictional narratives before it from disgraced DC artist and ComicsGate figurehead Ethan Van Sciver.
Chud! Fuck you! How dare you threaten the human sunbeam! You bastard!
I met Ethan in 2007 at a convention, and back then
where I begged him for his fucking autograph. I'm sorry, I gotta put the subtext in, guys. I gotta do it.
Was a huge fan of his work. He's responsible for iconic art from legendary run.
Okay, I always forget the movie. It's The Incredibles. So this guy is admitting, I'm the dude from The Incredibles. I loved Ethan Van Sciver. He was my hero. And then he turned on me. Oh, now I must take him down. This is another thing that I don't necessarily understand, because as someone who is very familiar with human psychology and the YouTube game in general, like, coming out swinging at people doesn't necessarily seem like the way to endear yourself to a community. But they always seem to think, I'm going to get a viral video because I'm going to go out and attack, Sargon or Ethan Van Sciver or your boy Zach. I'm going to come out swinging at these people with these huge channels and everybody loves, and that's going to get me respect. How does that work? These people are loved for a reason, man. And they're not. This is another thing, too. And if you've listened to my Jordan Peterson videos, there's a very big difference between a dominance hierarchy, which is predicated on violence, and a prestige hierarchy, which is predicated on competence. So people at the top of prestige hierarchies, everybody loves because they're prestigious. They're doing things that people like. So as soon as they start doing things that people don't like, they're going to fall right off that prestige hierarchy. And, things that people tend to not like are ruling with an iron fist, like ruling from the top of a dominance hierarchy. People hate. So it's impossible to be at the top of a dominance hierarchy and the top of a prestige hierarchy. I mean, this is the very old question of whether or not it's better to be loved or feared. And I would argue it's better you got to have a little bit of both, but love puts you at the top of a prestige hierarchy, and hate or fear tends to put you at the top of a dominance hierarchy, which dominance hierarchies tend towards corruption, as Jordan Peterson so often says. So, but the left, I constantly see conflating dominance hierarchies and prestige hierarchies. They want to say that people are at the top of prestige hierarchies, not because they're good actors or good writers or nice people that people like, but because they did it through nefarious means and they're taking advantage of people and they're on some grift for money and they're lying to people and deceiving people. And if only these people were smart enough to see through the deception, they would know the truth. Of course, most of these people are just flat out idiots. So there's that.
Runs on Green Lantern and The Flash. Between his and Ivan Rice's work, the stories by writer Jeff Johns will forever remain classics. Nothing he says will ever change the skill that he possesses. But in the personality...
See, look at that. He's even naming a guy. He's like, and this... Oh, wait, no. Is he talking about Ethan? Oh, he's talking about the other guys. Sorry, I read the chat for a second. I had to dole out a couple more riches.
Department, EVS could not have morphed into a bigger piece of shit.
Listen to that. Oh, my God.
And there are far less abusive and toxic creators with just as much, if not more, talent to look up to. I mentioned him in the Watchmen video.
See, it is fascinating to me, and this is one of the reasons that this stuff is fascinating to me, just from a moral psychology perspective, that two people... And I know I've been hating on Scott Adams lately, but Scott Adams does have the metaphor of two movies on one screen. Like, everybody's watching the same movie, but in their minds, they're really processing two very different movies. And this guy sees Ethan Van Sciver as someone mean and oppressive. People see that Sargon that same way. Vosh sees Sargon that same way. Mean, oppressive, someone that we can't trust. And I look for that. I've looked for that in Ethan. I've looked for that in Sargon, for them being just, mean to people for no reason. And I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Point it out to me. They will say, of course, that I'm biased and I'm friends with these people, and fair enough. There is a certain amount of bias, but the kinds of things that they're accusing these people of, I feel would break through my bias, because no matter how biased you are, when you see people do stuff that is really unthinkable, when you see them like the types of things, the unsavory stuff, lying about people, denigrating people, when you see that kind of stuff, and you do, you see them joking about people. I see that all the time, but as someone who really is, I come from a comedy screenwriting background. Like I love comedy. Like the jokes have to flow. Like the jokes have to be possible. And I think that the fact that the comedians are really turning on this super woke stuff is a step in the right direction, and obviously some evidence that we are winning. People are just sick of this stupid nonsense. And hopefully the social justice, the really, social justice bubble types that are on Tumblr and Twitter, they're going to be they're going to be reduced to a small and kind of feckless, powerless group. I honestly do see that coming pretty quickly.
Which was sort of a prototype for what would become this show, Forced Adversity. But this guy is truly bonkers, to put it medically. He spent months...
See, he's doing medical diagnoses. He's literally insane, is what he's saying. You're a dude in a mask. You record your audio first so it's clean, and then you pretend you're literally acting right now. Oh God, this is good.
Saying Captain Marvel would flop like they all did, only to lose his fucking mind when it made $1 billion and was critically well received. There is documented history of Ethan Van Sciver establishing parasocial relationships with his fans and then disowning them and accusing them of being...
Is that the same dude that wrote the article? I can't tell.
Harassers when the fan becomes inconvenient or he had a mood swing or something. This is why creators...
So this one, what he's appealing to now, and this is funny because I often wonder if I should do more streams on moral foundations theory, because it's so helpful in the election stuff. And I know a lot of you guys are political junkies. I'm kind of a political junkie, but it helps to know what moral foundation people are appealing to. Right now, this dude is appealing to the liberty... Oh, no. He's betraying I can honestly speak. He is appealing to the Loyalty Betrayal Foundation. He is saying, he's making the argument that Ethan is nice to people until it's inconvenient, and then he backstabs them, so he betrays them. It's funny how much ComicsGate talks about loyalty, how much ComicsGate appeals to the Loyalty Betrayal Foundation in their pitch. It's funny that he is... that he's appealing to that same foundation. Normally, progressives, if you look at Jonathan Haidt's data set on this, and I think he has like 60,000 respondents. It's a big, huge, it's a gigantic, huge data set, but it's not sourced well because it's completely sourced over the internet. So there's this kind of trade-off that they do in social psychology where, a lot of data versus really refined, good data, because you're choosing people by a variety of different factors. So, but the argument that he is making is based on the Loyalty Betrayal Foundation. If he is really a progressive, and I don't know that he is, I don't know that this isn't just some grift and he doesn't really have a dog in the fight whatsoever. He'll just say or do whatever to basically get clicks. Progressives score very low on the Loyalty Betrayal Foundation. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of them are so successful in science, because in science you really have to betray old ideas when they when they're overturned, when paradigm shifts happen, and that's difficult for a lot of people to do. So that loyalty betrayal is good in some situations and bad in others. If you have an idea that any kind of strategy that you're doing, maybe it's an investment strategy, maybe it's a business strategy, maybe it's a YouTube strategy. If you have a strategy that is failing, a lot of times you have to adapt a different strategy. And that sometimes will involve betraying people that you've been working with. It's betraying yourself because you've sunk so much time and energy into this failing endeavor. So sometimes it's the right course of action. So if you cling to that dogmatically, it can also be bad. All of life is a balance. It really is.
With a fan base.
This is one of the things that I notice and look for when I listen to presidential debates. And hopefully, this election season is going to be a good one if we have a decent candidate on the Democratic side. I look for what moral foundation they're appealing to, and some of these candidates talk, and they don't really appeal to any moral foundation whatsoever. So that stuff is hard to grab onto for us as human beings.
It should not have close personal friendships with fans. But there's more.
Oh, look, Eric Lavoie, I don't know, Lavoie, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I believe Eric is the one that bought my piece he is an owner. He is the owner of an original piece of artwork by myself. Therefore, I feel obligated. I have to give him a wrench. How can I not give this guy a wrench? Where are you, Eric? Here you go. Wrench time. Use it peacefully, okay? A light touch, like a safe cracker or a pickpocket. I don't want you becoming the next Adolf Hitler in my chat.
EVS released a book of his art called My Struggle, which, when translated to German...
Oh, no! Got it!
Oh, you get it. But it's just a joke, guys. It's just a joke.
Look at that. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Oh, man. This is... Remember how they harped on about the daddy can't rape us all stuff? That song just totally triggered them. Oh, they're endorsing child rape. Where's my fainting couch? Oh, my God. Oh, so funny. These guys see, this is what sucks. Your side wants to joke around. I've said this many times. Comedy is very simple. Comedy is about surprise. One of the easiest way to surprise people is to break taboos, to say naughty words, to sing songs about rape, okay? To make rape jokes, okay? Breaking taboos shocks people, surprises people, and it's funny. But when the other side mischaracterizes your good-hearted fun as seriousness, like you're on 60 Minutes advocating for rape or something. It's just, man, it's dirty, dirty smear merchant tactics. It's bad news, man. It's totally bad news. It's called Zero Principles. Look at this close shot on his eyes, man. He's got weird, buggy eyes, too. Different sizes. Oh, that's creepy. What's he look like under that mask? I don't know. I'm curious, though.
It's just a joke. Has nothing to do with that historical...
Yeah, it's just a joke. We don't joke on this side. No, we don't joke at all. We're fun assassins on this side. We don't believe in fun. You know the first thing to go in Nazi Germany? Fun.
Monster, he and his people will say, despite the fact that he uses language like degenerate to describe gay people and other lifestyles that he...
Oh my God. I don't know. You guys are going to have to fact check on this one. I don't know that Ethan... I don't see Ethan calling gay people degenerates. I really don't. I don't... Like, Ethan went after Mike and Doug TenNapel. I see Mike and Doug TenNapel calling gay people degenerates all day and night. Are you kidding me? That's why they got their asses thrown out of ComicsGate. I don't know. Citation needed. It would be nice if he actually threw the clip in here, but it's probably, even if he has a clip, it's probably ancient history from some live stream where he was actually joking.
Disapproves of. Despite his admitted love of Trump, despite his making fun of suicide and telling a fan to kill himself, despite a long history.
Oh my God. We just did a live stream, Sitch and I, for 6 hours on Sunday where Destiny was telling people to kill themselves. Yeah. So I don't the kill. I know it's a meme. I try not to say it just because I don't want to get myself in trouble. I tend towards having a guilty conscience if someone actually did kill themselves because people don't like 30 God, I hate the fact that it's another Scott Adams thing and I want to attribute it, but Scott Adams is on a tirade after artists and I feel personally attacked. So it's difficult for me, but Scott Adams says about 30% of people don't understand humor. Now, I think he just pulled that stat out of his ass, but I have noticed there are, like, it seems plausible that a third of people don't get humor. They don't have the right software for it, the right brain gear for it. I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but they don't understand how jokes work. So if you say something serious, I do notice some people when they make a joke, they'd use the /s as in sarcasm, which I think is good because if you don't know somebody, you're reading a comment from them for the first time, you may think that they're serious. Like sometimes I see this in my comment section and it's always nice to see the /s and I think, oh, this guy doesn't really hate me. He's just making a joke.
Of just disgusting inflammatory comments about race and gender and anything. The kind of comments, the kind of content that attracts the lowest common denominator chuds to rally.
Oh my God, La Patria Allah Tumba called me frickin' artsy in the fucking chat. Do it again. You lose that wrench. I am an artiste. Artsy. This isn't a craft fair. Actually, I do think I have an Etsy, but I never put any time into the Etsy because I was thinking, oh my God, Etsy makes your artwork seem not valuable at all. Like Etsy. I got to find a way around that. I have sold paintings straight off my website, but I have to figure out this year, I have to crack the nut on selling more artwork to strangers over the internet rather than just collectors that I know locally. Call me artsy again, motherfucker.
Rally around and attack his critics. Yeah, and there's lots of documentation of that too. There's enough content that exists to show that if Ethan Van Sciver isn't a straight up Nazi.
Oh my God. This is what's beautiful about the OK thing. And man, do we make the OK symbol in private pictures as jokes constantly. Because it's such a troll. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know when you're showing someone a picture of someone making the OK sign, you don't know if it was before troll, before it became commonly conceived of as like the white power symbol. It's not the white. It's funny now because it's not the white power symbol, but it kind of makes you think that. It does. It makes me weary of doing the OK symbol, but gun-ho to do it as a joke. Oh, look at that. Dude, he's accusing Ethan Van Sciver of being a Nazi. This is this is why I kind of threw my lot in with ComicsGate. Because this is what drives me insane. Comedy is under attack here. Comedy is under attack. People are under attack. People are being slandered for shit they didn't do. This guy is basically calling, well, you could go back and see if he actually called Ethan Van Sciver a Nazi, which there is a great defamation case to be made against. If I was a billionaire, I would be writing defamation cases right and left to straighten this shit out. Oh yeah, there's no tangible evidence that Ethan Van Sciver is a Nazi. This guy makes a claim that Ethan Van Sciver is a Nazi. He would get a letter from my attorney saying, please retract this claim. We would like you to make this statement. And the statement would be something along the lines of, you have to make a YouTube video. You have to come out and say, listen, I apologize profusely to Ethan Van Sciver for accusing him of being a Nazi. I know that this is not true, and I am a dumb motherfucker for saying such a thing. Like, that's literally the wording I would put in the letter. And once these people start getting enough letters from attorneys, dropped enough lawsuits on them, they will curb their behavior, okay? Defamation is very clear. You cannot make statements of fact about people that are not true, that are baseless, that are only intended to smear their reputation. And there is a case to be made that this is exactly what this guy is doing in this video. It's not, you can't build a society on this kind of nonsense. You really can't.
He's a hateful, abusive piece of shit who has latched firmly onto the anti-SJW cult mentality and made himself somewhat of a leader within that.
And he's calling us a cult. He's all this stuff. He's calling us a cult. What is a cult? Where are you? Actual context? Show up here. Defend your honor.
Ethan Van Sciver has waged targeted harassment campaigns against not only the evil boogeyman SJWs, but against his own fans who don't...
Ethan Van Sciver has waged targeted harassment campaigns against his own fans or anyone. There's no evidence of that. Please, where's my defamation attorney?
100% agree and line up with his bigotry and smears. But as we see time and time again, reactionaries like him always project their insanity onto others.
Now, is Ethan a reactionary? I don't even know if you could call Ethan a reactionary either. He seems like kind of a middle-of-the-road conservative to me, but I don't know. I haven't hung out with him extensively or anything like that, so...
He's had public beef with former co-workers, many of whom have denounced him.
Oh my God! Who hasn't had beef with former coworkers? Have you ever worked with people? I've had beef at every job I've had since I was 16 years old. Of course you have beef with coworkers. This is the world we live in.
Him and the idiotic ComicsGate banner, such as Gail Simone. Simone gave us a peek into EVS's trouble.
I watched some Gail Simone videos now. I'm trying to keep, the Gail Simone stuff is pretty funny. Pretty funny. Most of the progressives don't understand conservatives at all. Even culturally, they're kind of making the argument that conservatives are racist, which is one of the reasons why I keep speaking up, because that's not true. And it's a bad argument, and it's just bad for society. It's completely bad for society when you're mischaracterizing a whole group of people that you need. I mean, I conceptualize the political spectrum as progress versus tradition. You need progress and you need tradition. I got a great quote from Paul Vanderklay recently that without individuals, nothing changes, and without institution, nothing lasts. Without institutions, nothing lasts. And that's another example of the divide. It's individuals that push change and make change happen, and it's institutions that are tough to change and stabilize society. And it's the conservatives that want to preserve those institutions, want to protect those institutions. And it's the progressives that want to destroy those institutions, and oftentimes thoughtlessly. So, and it's funny, I've made this argument before because I'm not convinced that the progressives even change things rationally or reasonably or logically. But if you know how evolution works on random mutation. So the change doesn't necessarily need to be thoughtful. It just has to happen. And the progressives kind of change stuff a lot, and a lot of stuff just never catches on because it doesn't gain popularity. If the progressives have a point, though, then that stuff will tend to gain popularity. And sometimes it even gains popularity and it turns out to be a massive mistake. Prohibition is the perfect example of this. And if you look up Prohibition was, in fact, a progressive movement to rid us of alcohol. It ended up causing more harm than good, and we had to repeal it. We had to go back to the tradition, which was, let's all drink as much as we want. So, moving on.
Troubled mind with a long Facebook post after EVS attacked her, revealing that Van Sciver had suffered through some mental health issues prior to his dramatic change in social behavior. This, combined with the fact that he was raised in the Mormon church, give us some insight into his...
Oh my God, he's going after his religion. He's going after his religion. What a scumbag, dude. This guy's a fucking scumbag. Scumbag. What religion are you? So we can go after that.
his warped perspective. I mean, I'm not saying everybody with mental health problems or who's raised in a cult is doomed.
Oh my God. Then he's got to pull back. He's like, listen, I know that I've completely made the argument that this guy has mental health issues and I'm attacking him for that reason. And you could easily make the argument that attacking mentally ill people is not progressive. So to protect myself against that charge, let me just say that I think mentally ill people are great. Oh, man.
To be delusional garbage person. But it would appear that Ethan Van Sciver never really processed these things in a healthy way. In fact, he leaned into mental illness, delusion, and cult mentality. Ethan Van Sciver chose to let the most destructive and antisocial elements of his personal life determine who he is socially and professionally.
What the? Where's this guy get the fucking balls to do this, man? Seriously. This is crazy. This is crazy. A guy in a mask we know nothing about is psychoanalyzing another guy over the internet for clicks. Okay? And not only that, I think the title of his video is Grifter Spread Lie. Like, how is this not a grift? How is this not a grift? Like, if you are a mental health professional, if you're a psychologist, a psychiatrist, if you have a medical degree, like, why wouldn't you put that in your bio? Why wouldn't you take the mask off and say, listen, I have a psychology degree? What the fuck?
Van Sciver was let go from DC Comics in 2018. The public statement declared that it was an amicable thing and that Van Sciver just wants to get rich with independent comics. He's still trying to get rich and will be trying for a long time if the best thing that he can come up with is his overpriced relic of the early 90s called Cyberfrog.
Man, and now he's insulting the comic just for good measure. He wants for his brain dead audience, he has to let them know that he hates Ethan Van Sciver with every fiber of his being. I mean, this is really the audience that Mike S. Miller and company are catering to, the people that hate Ethan Van Sciver. I don't understand how you can grow that audience. I don't understand how there's a future in that audience, because unless, like, you're basically basing your audience off of a complete stranger's audience. Like, first of all, in order for people to be in favor of you, they have to know and hate Ethan Van Sciver. Not everyone knows Ethan Van Sciver. Why are you doing this? This is this is not a good tactical strategy for growing your YouTube channel. So, little advice, little insider advice for you there.
Jesus, and his art has actually gotten worse. I
see the fact that he knows that, he's like, oh, the art was so good when I was your fan, and now that I'm not your fan. That's simple psychology too, right there. That's the two movies right there. He's like, when I was your fan, the movie I saw of you was great. Now that I'm not your fan, the movie I see is completely different. No, it's pretty much the same movie.
I didn't want to assume that his art deteriorated with his personality, but it's my suspicion, and unlike those websites, I'll always say when I'm speculating, but it's my suspicion that EVS was let go under amicable terms publicly, while other considerations were made behind the scenes. He had become a toxic, even radioactive person for DC to hire for their art, with several fan boycotts arising around his abusive and hateful rhetoric. But even before
ComicsGate documentary, we got to iron this shit out. We got to get to the truth. We have to get to the truth.
He was let go. He had fallen from the height of superstar artist on top-tier titles to being relegated to things like Plastic Man. And I mean, look, I'm not talking trash on Plastic Man.
Man, to hear Ethan tell it, though, I mean, being a comic book artist was not a great gig. One of the things I think is fascinating about Ethan and his channel is that he doesn't glamorize the insiderness of the comic book industry, like I think a lot of people are predisposed to do. I mean, it is obviously kind of a glamorous gig, but not necessarily financially lucrative. And you see that in a lot of professions where, you know, people love the job. If people love the job, more people are going to want to do the job, and that is going to drive the wages down. Which, I mean, even in a completely unrelated industry, the airline industry, like pilots get paid jack shit because these guys just love to fly. So it's the same thing across any industry, just simple supply and demand. If there's a high supply of people who want that position, those wages are going to be driven down. I think crowdfunding is an opportunity for these rock star artists to really make what they're worth, to really profit from their own creation. And I fucking love that. As an artist myself, I love that. Eliminate the middleman. The middleman for me is the gallery. The gallery takes 50%. And the internet came along and it allowed a lot of artists, a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my group has started selling work over the internet and kind of dumped the gallery system. And the galleries are kind of suffering for it. And movies changed that way too, with the talent back in the olden days, back in the 40s. The movie studios basically owned the talent, and once the talent realized that they were the ones people loved and they were the ones that had the power, now stars drive movies. It's the stars. When they commit to a movie, that movie is getting made. It's the stars that drive the production of movies, not the studios any longer. So we could be experiencing that shift with comic books and with ComicsGate and with the mainstream comic book industry because of crowdfunding and these superstars able to go directly to their audiences and not needing that middleman. So it's an interesting time. It's a fascinating time. It really is.
But the character isn't popular outside of hardcore DC fans. It just seems odd. You can basically follow the timeline of the more abusive and hateful that he got online, the less and less prominent work he got. Those 3 websites that I mentioned all proudly declare Ethan Van Sciver as their source or
Hey, people are saying Ethan's in the chat. Obviously, Ethan can come on. I'm like saying he's coming up in the conversation enough that I might be talking smack and he might want to defend himself. I haven't seen him though. And I don't know. Does he have I guess he has a wrench. Everyone is talking about me all the time. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. Good to see Ethan. I will continue. I guess I just have eyes on the chat. I guess let me know in the chat if you want a link.
insider source, which has the implication that he's like whispering trade secrets into their ears. But the fact is, he has a YouTube channel which markets him as a master of...
Ethan says, my last project at DC was Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. I don't know if you're talking to other people in the chat. Send me a link. Send me the link. Okay, so I'll send him a link. I will pause the video until I get the link thing worked out. So let's see how I do that. This is the boring part of the stream. I apologize. I will try to talk and we'll try to throw out an occasional joke until I can actually... It's not going to work. No. Let me see here. Starting up this thing. I use Zoom, so I don't use Streamlabs. So it's... hopefully this doesn't mess up. No, you guys can still hear me, right? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Invite, copy URL. Oh, now I'm even telling you what I'm doing. Maybe I should play the video because I can back up the video. That's what I'll do. Here we go. Playing the video.
Industry gossip called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. He'll say some crazy, deranged nonsense, and these websites probably have notifications on for his channel so they can boost their numbers as soon as he says anything. From my perspective, it would appear that when he realized he'd burned his career as a pro artist with his divisive and abusive rhetoric, he pivoted to two alternative forms of income. One is by crowdfunding his kinda lame looking cyber frog, which he then sells for an absurd price, and it's gotten terrible reviews. Number two is by leveraging...
All right, the link has officially been sent. Hopefully you can still hear the video.
His former program.
I use Zoom, which is different. Ethan Van Sciver. I cannot hear you. There's a arrow. There's a arrow next to the video thing. So, he ducked out. So,
career into that of an industry insider, despite the fact that I really don't think that he talks to anybody that...
Still can't hear you. So,
hey, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
I can. Yeah. What's up, man? How you doing?
All right. Yes. Awesome.
I don't know if you watch this video, but it's pretty hilarious.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of watching it. The guy, first of all, what happened to Captain Frugal?
Is this Captain Frugal? Is this like an old time former ComicsGate guy, or?
No. Captain Frugal is a ComicsGater who wears a Captain America mask.
Oh,
and
okay.
Not like that. He doesn't wear that kind of a mask. I hope that's not him. But yeah, this guy's interesting. I started watching some of this. I was like, I wonder what Adam Friended is talking about. And you said SJW Grifter takes a swing at ComicsGate, and I thought you were talking about Pez Fowler. So I came in to see if it was about that, and boom, it's about me all the time.
It is 24/7, man. You're the tip of the spear here. They're going to go after the big man if they're going to take a swing.
Yeah, I guess so. This guy's a dummy. So far, every single one of his assumptions is 100% wrong and backwards. Talking about Plastic Man as if, first of all, I never did Plastic Man. I wanted to. That was a vanity project that DC would never let me do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the guy's like, he got like fewer and fewer. No, they always kept me on A-list projects. And if they weren't A-list, I made them A-list. I got everything I wanted at DC Comics all the time. And the last project that I did over there was Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, which is Green Lantern, which was what I was known for doing. But Plastic Man was something, that image of Plastic Man that he showed was from a project I was supposed to do with Gail Simone called Day of the Composites. That was going to be the return of Plastic Man, the return of Swamp Thing. And Gail didn't finish it. So it never came out. There are 50 pages of that are drawn. It's like if I were Brian Wilson, it would be my smile, Adam.
Really?
Unfinished. Brilliant project that I came up with. Return of Plastic Man. And I always said, I love Plastic Man. I love Jack Cole because I can relate to him. I think he's a real tragic figure in comics. And I'd really like to make Plastic Man good and not silly. I want to make it like an Irish crime noir drama that takes place in Gotham City and organized crime superhero stuff. And DC loved it, but they knew it wasn't going to sell. So they kept putting me on Superman and Batman and Flash and, Green Lantern and even once on Wonder Woman. They'd always say, yeah, when you do Plastic Man. But first, what do you think about this? So that's a weird assumption. That's a faulty assumption. But the thing about it is that as we go forward in time, and even just in the space of 2 years, people forget things that happened 2 years ago. People forget,
they forget 2 days ago. Are you kidding me?
It's incredible. You have to iron things out and go, no, that's not what happened. You don't remember. We've got anti-ComicsGaters, Adam, who are sitting there saying, why are we paying for Richard C. Myers' lawsuit against Mark Waid? Why won't Richard pay for that? He made $1 million. And it's like, guys, you forgot. Like, don't you? I mean, I know that things get cloudy, but it's like he didn't want to do it. We made him do it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that until you just said something.
That's correct. Like the fans kind of said, you've got to sue. You have a tortious interference case here. We'll fund it for you. Right. And he went, okay, all right, I'm going to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. And he's been in litigation hell ever since, but he's doing it because we asked him to. So these people who don't remember the reasons why things happened yesterday, I guess, are inventing new things about why things happened 10 years ago. Even it's makes sense, but it's silly.
You know what I just did? I had a question for you, Ethan, and I forgot to write it down on my scratch paper.
Oh.
So I can't remember what it is.
We're forgetting things from just moments ago now.
I know. Well, he had made quite a few accusations about you. Oh, I remember it now. So the leaving DC on amicable terms, like I know the way it usually goes. Like they let you leave on amicable terms, right? Really, we don't necessarily know what happened behind the scenes, but I know you run a channel called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. So
Right.
was it amicable terms or?
Of course it was.
Okay.
It was very amicable terms.
Okay, so we all know that it wasn't amicable terms,
No.
but he has to say, I'm with you, Ethan. It was totally amicable. I love you.
Here's the thing that this guy doesn't understand, and that, you know, first of all, again, you have to go back in time and look at the way things were. DC Comics was struggling. DC Comics was trying to merge with AT&T. DC Comics was trying to look cool because they just lost $300 million or whatever it was on the Justice League movie. Heads were rolling. It was really awful. So they were trying to look good, and they were trying to hire Brian Michael Bendis. They wanted all of their press to be sunny and happy and good and warm and fun. Oh, look, we're hiring Brian Michael Bendis from Marvel. Everything's going great. Now, in the meantime, SJWs decided that they were going to swarm and harass me and make an example out of me post-Trump. I was the most visible Republican in comics. So they were working together with left-wing media to answer every positive article for DC Comics about Brian Michael Bendis with a negative one, implying that I was a Nazi and talking about this or that. I mean, I was being stalked and harassed on Facebook by these weirdos. And I said to one of them, go kill yourself. I said, go kill yourself. And the guy said, but I am suicidal. And that that clip went everywhere. Ethan's telling people to go kill themselves. He's telling fans to go commit suicide. Now, that little bit of drama was enough for SJWs to capture and to send to the higher-ups at Warner Brothers. So Dee Dee Myers from the Clinton campaign, who was working at Warner Brothers until her ass got fired last week. She worked together with Diane Nelson, two SJWs in the highest positions of Warner Brothers, both of them bringing down the company to bring pressure on DC Comics to not use me anymore, to not use my work. SJWs countered all the positivity with negativity about me. And eventually I had a meeting with Dan DiDio, and he just said, he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, can you just shut down your social media? Can you just walk away from YouTube and Twitter and just be quiet? Maybe this will fade away.
Can you stop defending your reputation and just let the world believe you're an actual Nazi?
I said, Dan, they're calling me a Nazi. I can't. Like, and I took it really seriously then. I remember being like, I'm not a Nazi. Now I'd just be like, whatever. It kind of rolls off my back. But then it was very serious and frightening because this was my reputation and also my means of making a living. And I'd worked at DC Comics for 20 years. So I said, I'm not going to shut down my social media. And if that's what it takes for me to stay here, because it's my sword and shield, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go. They reminded me that I owed them 3 or 4 issues at that point on my contract. I needed to finish those before I could go. I agreed and was miserable for this was between the months of February and May. I worked for DC Comics to try to finish up those issues on my contract. I got to the last one and begged to be let go. I just said, please, I wanted to. Okay. Yeah, I said, I want to do Cyberfrog. Richard C. Myers is making a lot of money on Jawbreakers. I want to go. I'm miserable here.
Okay, so that was my question because I was curious where you were at in YouTube at the time, because it is the more powerful your YouTube channel is, the more powerful your social media is. Like, it is kind of a Sophie's choice. It's like completely cut off your plan B or stay with DC Comics. I mean, they're forcing your hand here.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like I'm a contract agent. I'm a freelancer, so it's like it's not even a matter of firing me. It's a matter of saying, yeah, we don't have anything for you anymore. We don't have anything for you right now.
So
check
that's
back
a
later.
huge ask. I want people to understand what a huge ask it is for to ask you to take down your social media.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't something that I was willing to do. It just wasn't something I was willing to do because I anticipated that things could get bad and I was going to need my social media. I was going to need my YouTube channel. I was going to go independent. I was pretty sure. And in February, I announced that I was ComicsGate, which at the time was kind of a new thing to do. ComicsGate was like the name of the drama that was going on between the mainstream comic book industry and then, people like me who were being subjugated to abuse because there was incredible hurt feelings. There was incredible grief about Donald Trump's election. And everybody who was an out Trump supporter was paying the price or shutting their mouths. And I was told many times, stop celebrating. I was told this by DC Comics. Stop celebrating. Stop gloating. It's like, you don't understand how serious this is. And I was like, this isn't serious. This is an election. It's an election that my guy won. I don't understand why I don't get to celebrate when they did after Obama. So, like I said, I was warned. I was told that I shouldn't be celebrating. I was told that I shouldn't be gloating or being an out Trump supporter, and I just refused. I thought it was ridiculous. So when they said take your social media down, after everything, after I was trying to kind of make amends with comic book pros and saying, no, like ebony and ivory, we can live together, we can coexist. Trump supporters and lunatics, we can coexist. We couldn't, and around February of 2018, I just said, I'm clearly ComicsGate. I'm going to stand up for myself now, and that was right about the time that I had the conversation with DC Comics and said, no, I'm going to finish my contract and I'm out of here. And I ended up not finishing my contract. So
where was your YouTube channel at in like subscriber count? Do you remember?
20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I just hit 20,000, but that was substantial. I remember Zach being at 32,000 at that time, and him saying, I have more subscribers, I have more people that listen to me than almost any book that you guys sell. So no wonder you're afraid of me.
Yeah.
At 20,000, I was feeling my oats. Actually, it was 25 because I remember telling Dan DiDio, I said, I have 25,000 subscribers that are going to be very upset, to hear all of this.
Hell yeah.
But I told Dan, the conversation I had with Dan said, come back in June. He said, take a little break, come on back in June, things are going to be different. And I said, what do you mean, Dan? I said, I think I'm going to be gone. I said at the time, I think I'm going to be gone for like a good 2 years. I think I'm going to do Cyberfrog for a little while, and maybe I'll come back in 2 years. I didn't realize Cyberfrog was going to be a huge, gigantic success, and I've been so happy that there's no fucking way I'd ever go back to DC Comics. But Dan said that, and when he said that, I made a mental note of it. And in June, Diane Nelson was fired. So I was like, he knew then, Adam. He knew then that the president of DC Entertainment was fired, was on her way. She said, I'm taking a little vacation. And then in June, she says, I'm not coming back.
Right. So the firing, you think she was the one that was after you?
Yeah. She was the one who, this is the thing. SJWs had penetrated DC Comics in those two places. They had Diane Nelson and they had Dee Dee Myers. Both of those individuals have been fired. They're no longer there. Now, also Dan DiDio has been fired, and Dan DiDio was a friend. He's a friend. I would, I'd work with Dan DiDio. I just don't want to work for DC Comics anymore. And it's frustrating because these people think that that's like the most wonderful thing in the world. I was making, before taxes, I was working my face off and making about $20,000 an issue to pencil and ink an issue of and it meant working all the time on projects that I didn't care about. And I was rushing the work. It wasn't my best work. For this guy to say that Ethan's art has deteriorated, he's lying.
I know.
My art has gotten so much better. It's not even funny. I am not pulling any punches. Cyberfrog Blood Honey is a goddamn masterpiece. It's better than anything I've ever done. And if the universe were fair, if I could be nominated for an Eisner for Sinestro Core War, I would win an Eisner for Cyberfrog Blood Honey. It is my best work.
Why can't you be nominated? Because you're a free agent? Because it's not a mainstream book? Or?
I think the Eisner committee is pretty firmly social justice warrior right now.
Oh, okay. So it's a political thing. It's not necessarily an indie versus mainstream.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is at all. I think they nominate indie creators all the time.
Right.
But it is a great piece of work. I'm proud of it. And when I see people saying it's not a great piece of work, I know they're lying. It's like I've done enough of these books. I know they're lying. So, it's always somebody who's upset, somebody who's ass mad. When somebody says that a work like Cyberfrog Blood Honey just flat out sucks, they're lying. And I said to somebody, I said, if you really wanted to hurt my feelings, which is what apparently you want to do, you would say the book's pretty good, but this one thing, and then find one fault with it and hammer it home. Like, that's how to neg somebody. That's something that would be realistic criticism that would get under my skin. But simply saying Cyberfrog Blood Honey isn't great when it is something that, Adam, I know better. I'm no dummy.
Don't let him know what the thing that would get under your skin is.
Some people have gotten that right. It's like,
as an artist, I know there's certain things that you are like, like you look at work that you've done long ago and you think, man, I really should have fixed that because it's bugging the shit out of me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, but I mean, there's nothing I'd fix about Cyberfrog Blood Honey. I would just make it longer. And that's what I'm doing right now with Wreck Planet. So
that's nice. That's great. That's great.
So what is this guy saying? This guy is saying that I'm wrong, that I'm spreading lies, that DC Comics is done.
Basically. I mean, he's just attacking you. One of the reasons why I want to look at the video was because he doesn't really make any tangible arguments. It's this argument that drives me nuts, that this person is a bad person. They've done things that I disagree with. Therefore, they are irredeemable, and therefore you shouldn't listen to their argument at all. But they never get to the argument. And I always say, even someone who is a serial killer could be right about the argument. You can't basically just make your whole argument a smear campaign. So that's one of the reasons that ComicsGate kind of attracted me, was because it's the same thing. It's just it's a smear campaign. They want to say that every single Trump voter is a racist. And that just bugs me. You can't. It's so bad for society.
It's really awful. These people are all this way. Your boy Zach says that the comic book industry contains the worst people on the face of the earth. I don't know really how to deal with it except just to continue doing great comics and speak truth. I mean, just tell the truth whenever I can. This is a good opportunity to do so. So you want to keep watching the video with me?
We can. I have to send you a watch together link. So,
oh snap!
Let me do that. I know your system I think is better, but here, hold on a second.
I wonder you go ahead.
You go ahead. No, you talk. You talk while I work on links. Let me ask you a question here about your DC. So I remember hearing something in a live stream that you were talking about trying to get the rights to Plastic Man. So he's making the argument that you were relegated to Plastic Man because it was such a shitty book and you went kicking and screaming to Plastic Man, when in reality, like, you have 30 pages of a book you want to finish, right? You're like, how do I get the rights to Plastic Man?
Well, not really. I mean, the truth is, like, I had a project called Day of the Composites when, this was back in 2009 or 2010. DC kind of let me do whatever I wanted. So I was doing this horror story, and I said, I want to bring back Plastic Man in a new way in this book. And everybody knew I loved Plastic Man. I read the story of Jack Cole. Jack Cole was something else. Like, he was kind of a quiet Christian fellow with a really funny sense of humor. And one of the most genius artists of the golden age. I think he was better than Jack Cole. Better than Will Eisner. And Jack, Jack did Plastic Man. All he really wanted to do, though, was he wanted to be a syndicated cartoonist, and he never got to be a syndicated cartoonist. But he did create Plastic Man, and then he went on to do cartoons for Playboy magazine. And for some reason, like in 1955, he mysteriously, nobody knows why, but he took his own life with a rifle.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah. He was kind of the Kurt Cobain of comics, and left Hugh Hefner a note. Hugh Hefner knows why he did it, or
really.
Stan Lee knows why he did it. Will Eisner knew why he did it. It had something to do with his wife. And I talked to all of those gentlemen except for Hugh Hefner and asked, I said, please tell me what was wrong with Jack. And none of them would tell me. And now everybody's passed on. But I love Jack Cole and I loved Plastic Man, and I really wanted to make it not suck ass. And the book had been a silly goofball, wacky comic. And I just don't think that's what Jack Cole meant it to be. I think Jack Cole's Plastic Man character was really smart and funny and, grounded, had a Black Irish sense of humor, and the world around him was stupid and wacky, and he was existing in that world. That's what I wanted to bring back to it and just make it more authentic, make it speak to who Jack Cole was and what he was trying to say. And DC always said, yeah, we're going to save it for you. We're going to let you do it when you're ready to do it. But they'd always give me better things. So they'd say, but you're going to make more money. Wouldn't you rather do Superman, Batman? Wouldn't you rather do Sinestro Corps? Wouldn't you rather do Flash Rebirth? So I never got around to it. And, at the end of my time at DC Comics, right before I left DC, Dan DiDio called me and said, I'm going to ask you something. He's like, we got this pitch for Plastic Man from Gail Simone. He's like, we've been saving it for you. What do you think? And I said, Dan, let her do it. So I gave Gail Simone permission to do her awful Plastic Man book. For that, I apologize. But I love that DC came to me and asked permission. They said, is it okay with you? We don't want to bother you.
Wow.
So, DC and I have always been on good terms. And I very much resent what they had to go through standing by me. As social justice warriors for a year, tried to make them go through PR hell when they were trying to merge with AT&T. I respect Dan DiDio, and I said, I'll never say anything bad about you, Dan DiDio, even though I could. I won't. And I'm grateful for my time there. But that time is over with. It's I don't feel like DC Comics has much of a future now. I think that's become kind of clear. These guys are in denial, guys like this fellow here.
Yeah.
And the future is in indies. And it's almost like God put me here. I know that I'm not as good of a Christian as Mike S. Miller and Doug Tenacious, but I pray. And I prayed at that time when I left DC because I knew big changes were going to come. And I have been overwhelmingly blessed.
Well, you definitely made the right choice financially, right?
I made the right choice financially. I made the right choice for my family. I can spend more time with little Ava, who is about to turn 4 years old. I made the right choice for my wife. We can see each other and do whatever we want to do. And creatively, I'm much, much, much happier. I'm sitting here drawing a Rumblebee trading card right now. I put out a poll. I said, what's the trading card that you guys want me to do next? And I thought everybody was going to choose Chelson or Lily, but they said Rumblebee. So I'm drawing Rumblebee, a big splash page of Rumblebee. I'm having a blast. I own all of this stuff. This is stuff that I can pass on to Ava when I die. If I spend the rest of my life working on Cyberfrog as an IP and turning Cyberfrog into something that is an entertainment franchise, this is a real thing that I can leave to my kids. This is, I'm leaving this in trust to you guys. Sell it to whoever you want. Make money from it. None of these other dummies who are still working for DC or still working for Marvel have that. None of them have that. They're not thinking ahead at all. And they are slaves. So I'm glad that something happened, even though it was unpleasant. It was a big wake-up call for me, and I'm grateful for it.
Well, that's
and grateful to everyone in the chat for helping me out and helping me achieve that.
Yeah, I'm doing everything in OBS, so it's like being hugely uncooperative. But I sent you a link on Twitter, so if you check your DMs, you should be able to have a link to the Watch Together room, and then You'll be able to pause the same way as me.
Okay.
And it should be at the same spot. There you go. I see in there.
I'm in here. So do I have to leave or no? Do I? No, I'm good.
No, you're good. You should be able to hear it on your end. The volume doesn't matter on your end.
Okay.
You can make it as loud as you want. And
I'll always say.
So you should hear me hit go. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's
Hold
go.
on. He's still paused though. Are you ready?
Yeah, I paused it.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't click the screen. It's a little annoying. So you have to hit the pause button, or you have to hit the play pause button in the bottom corner. So
When I'm speculating, but it's my suspicion that EVS was let go under amicable terms publicly, while other considerations were made behind the scenes. He had become a toxic,
I was being
even
beaten
radioactive.
behind the scenes. It's like he was publicly. By the way, DC Comics never made a comment about it. DC Comics never ever said anything. So I don't know why you would assume it was amicable. They never made a statement. I was the only one who made a statement. And that was it. So maybe they were beating me and screaming at me behind the scenes.
we're making all that money, man. They were totally jealous.
It's my suspicion. Okay, go ahead.
Active person for DC to hire for their art, with several fan boycotts arising around his abusive and hateful.
That's true. I was radioactive. That's exactly correct. I didn't choose to.
He did mention earlier that about the telling somebody to kill themselves. I'm glad that you gave the actual context to that. I don't know if you know this, but the name of this guy's channel is Actual Context.
Oh, sweet.
I know. The irony.
That was, I remember doing that too. I remember these guys every single day after my channel on Facebook, my Facebook channel was just me celebrating Trump all the time, being very happy about it.
You bad boy, you.
Yeah, and these guys came after me every single day, and I would kind of dunk on them back and stuff like that. Well, some of them just kind of went too far. Some of them would kind of just go too far and say stuff about my family, and it was just. I remember being in bed and I got a little alert about Facebook, and I looked at it, and somebody had said something to me, and I just kind of said, you know what, go kill yourself. And it was a 4chan meme. It was something that it doesn't literally mean go commit suicide. It means go jump off a bridge. It means shut up.
Basically. Yeah, exactly.
It means I strongly disagree with what you're saying. But that's about it. And then I remember I just turned off my computer and I turned off my iPad and just took a nap. And when I woke up from that nap, all hell had broken loose. The Ethan is a piece of shit. Look what he's telling people who are suicidal to kill themselves. And I'm a nice kid. I believed everything. I believed what SJWs were saying. So I believed they were truly upset. I was like, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that I didn't mean it like that. I want to apologize for telling you to go kill yourself.
Oh no. You apologized.
They smelled blood. That's what they did. They smelled blood. And yeah, I did become radioactive, of course, because all you have to do is show that message. Just show me saying, go kill yourself. And you're radioactive. It doesn't matter context or anything like that. Feel free to just spread that around and talk about what a horrible person I am. Now, I saw this happen to Mike Miller too. Scott, what's his name? The big fat guy. Tried to do the same exact kind of job on Mike Miller that was done to me over the kill yourself comments when Mike burned the Mike Waringo artwork. Same technique. And I called him out on it. I called Scott Kurtz out on it. And I was just like, you're a piece of shit, SJW. And don't think I don't see what you're doing. Your whole fake concern trolling. I cried all day. All of this stuff. It's like, and then spreading it out, showing messages to your friends, trying to make it go viral. I see what you're doing, you fat piece of shit. And I defended Mike S. Miller, as I'm wont to do. But that's exactly right. So saying somebody's radioactive, that's not my fault. It is, I guess, in a way. I probably shouldn't have given them that piece of ammo.
It's funny seeing the green Ethan Van Sciver compared to the street smart, savvy Twitter user Ethan Van Sciver, the one who's like, I see what you're doing, buddy. I see what you're doing. I kind of called this guy out in the beginning. I don't know how late you came in, but in the beginning, I kind of called this guy out for all the YouTube stuff. Because, I see what he's doing here. He's taking a swing at the big boy. He's trying to get some eyes on his channel, and we're giving it to him. We're totally
Well,
giving
that's
it to him, but
yeah, that's what these guys do, and I guess they should do it. I mean, I say this guy's got a copy of one of my books right behind him, by the way.
oh
That
yeah,
that
no, this
DC
guy's straight out of Incredibles, man. This guy loved you. You disappointed him.
I'm very sorry, but what was I gonna say? Oh, I lost my whole train of thought. Shit, that
Well,
never happens, Adam. I'm usually right on the money there.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll go back to the video. You'll think of it.
I'll remember.
But even before he was let go, he had fallen from the height of superstar artist on top-tier titles to being relegated to things like Plastic Man. And I mean, look, I'm not talking trash on Plastic Man, but the character isn't popular outside of hardcore
Plastic
DC
Man never
fans.
came out. It never happened. You got a beautiful. By the way, that's my redesign of Plastic Man, and that looks goddamn slick. And everyone who saw that went, "Holy shit!"
I don't know, these fingers. This looks a little swastika-ish to me, Ethan. I'm not. What's going on here?
Got him.
I'm joking with you, obviously, but that's the way he sees this. I'm surprised he didn't throw it in there.
Yeah, I was never. Oh, sorry. Again, just to point out, I was always doing everything that I wanted to do at DC. I lost influence, though. In other words, when I was working with Jeff Johns, I could do whatever I wanted to do. I worked with him, but over time, I was still working on the big books. But people would just hand me scripts, and here's a Green Lantern script. Draw it, monkey. I'd be like, "Fuck, okay, what is this?"
Oh man, that's
and that was towards the end. That was like 2017, 2018, and it was like I'm not having fun right now.
Yeah, that's a bad state to be in. Do you think it was just politics related? Is that why you went from, I mean, losing influence pretty much says it all. Like they're willing to work, they're willing to cooperate with you, and that comes to an end.
I don't know if it was like that. I think it was just that the way that it works in comic books is there's a constant churn of editorial. And you can have a long career in comics as long as you have a sympathetic editor or somebody like that. Now, I had Dan DiDio, and I had a few editors. I had Pete Tomasi, and Pete Tomasi went out to become a writer and a successful writer, and Dan DiDio was still there. Jeff Johns moved out to become chief creative officer. So really, I'm working with younger editors who were brought in from Wizard magazine. Okay, when Wizard split up. And these guys, they know who I am, but they have their friends. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's like DC is saying, hey, work with him. He's a contract guy, so put him on this book. And these guys are saying, okay, but like we're working with this writer, this new young writer that we want. And I'm the old man in the situation. So
it sucks.
It didn't suck, but it wasn't, we weren't going to create anything classic. Let's put it that way. Like there's nothing that I did on Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps that's really worth rereading. It was good for the time. It was disposable,
Well, I hate working with millennials, so that's why I say it sucks.
Just seems odd. You can basically follow the timeline of the more abusive and hateful that he got online, the less and less prominent work he got. Those three websites that
You want to respond to that, or?
I again, abusive and hateful. I guess saying go kill yourself is abusive and hateful. It wasn't meant that way, but what can I say? I don't think that my conduct got more and more abusive and hateful. I think that's a myth.
Yeah,
I think I got very excited about Trump. I was so excited about winning the election. I really felt like the country was over.
See, they perceive celebration as abuse.
Yeah.
Like that's really what's going on here. That's the problem.
I felt like the country was over. I felt like Trump wasn't going to win, and I really felt like America was going to become, a socialist hellhole.
So you were scared of Hillary.
I was scared of Hillary, and I knew about the next Supreme Court justice openings and all the court. That was it. It was this election was ball game. I mean, it was ball game for the United States, and all of this stuff coincided with me finding God again, I was so happy. I went to the inauguration.
Really?
I was there. Yeah, I went to the inauguration.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was there. I had a great time. I was there. I was yelling at Antifa when they were smashing Bank of America windows.
Wow. Ethan, as a trusted member of the media, how big was the inaugurational crowd?
It was so big, and I'll tell you something. I immediately started noticing the lies. Like they were showing a picture of like a blank inauguration crowd, like it was empty. They took that picture at 9 a.m. when people were still trying to get onto the grounds because
that's hilarious.
It was clogged up. And I remember waiting in a long ass line, and then leaving that line and trying to go around. It was clogged. The whole entire field, all the way stretching back to the memorial, the Washington Memorial or Monument, was packed with people, and there was nowhere to stand except in the very, very, very back near the AV crew. So that picture was a lie, and it's like I saw that and went, "What the fuck? Like, why are they immediately lying about things like this?"
Yeah, that dirty pool stuff that bugs me. That bugs me a lot.
It was fun. It was fun. I was there arguing with liberals with my Milo Yiannopoulos styled arguments. It was fun. Anyway, so
you like to argue with people online. I like to argue with people online. Like I feel like it's Americans' God-given right to argue with people online. That's another reason why I hate a lot of this stuff, these smear campaigns, because you can't really have an honest debate if someone is just going to smear you from the distance.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All proudly declare Ethan Van Sciver as their source or insider source, which has the implication that he's like whispering trade secrets into their ears. But the fact is, he has a YouTube channel which markets him as a master of industry gossip called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. He'll say some crazy, deranged nonsense, and these websites...
What's that? What is that? What is the crypto fashion?
His merch store is called Crypto Fashion. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Crypto Fashion, of course, is a play on the word crypto fascist.
Okay.
But it is it's the clothing line that does all the YouTube stuff for kind of right-leaning YouTubers.
Okay.
And they're great. And I wouldn't work with them except their clothing is fantastic. They use Calvin Klein shirts. And it's just, they're beautiful. If you go anywhere else, the stuff that they give you, it's like Hanes beefy tees, and they'll print your shit on it. And it's like wearing a grocery bag after it's been through the washer once. But my t-shirts are premium and absolutely fantastic. So
it sounds like you get a better deal on them too, from what I've heard, as far as like how much money you make. I heard you say something about how much money you make off shirts, and I was like, what? I don't make that kind of money off my shirts. What's that?
I make $8 a shirt, and
unheard of.
I know, it's great. It's a great.
How
deal.
do you do that?
Well, you go to Crypto Fashion, and that's their deal.
Well, I don't know though. Do they have like shirts with swastikas and stuff like that on the site? I gotta be
not
careful.
that I know of, but they do.
I'm in California. They'll pull me out of my house.
I don't think they do that.
They'll beat me in the street.
I think they do John Delarose's t-shirts too, though. So.
Oh no.
I don't know what.
Oh
do.
no.
I don't know what he's got, but I don't have things like that. I've got cyber.
Obviously not. Not. And I'm not one that falls for the guilt by association argument. I don't necessarily like that argument. We live in a weird time. You like I said, it's Ethan before media training and Ethan after media training. Like now, if you say kill yourself, like someone's going to give you shit. But I don't know. These days you might not even care. I've seen you tweet some pretty spicy stuff, so you seem to be taking it to them.
I feel like I'm bulletproof. And again, like Zach said, like we both died and were born again vampires. And I am no longer a mortal human being. I'm like, what's that movie that he always references with Aaliyah, the vampire movie, Queen of the Damned? He says that's. He's like, the way that they describe vampires dying and being born again, he's like, that's what happened to us.
You guys are kind of uncancelable, right? I mean, cancel culture can't touch you.
Well, the only people who can cancel us are our fans, and occasionally customers walk away from us for one reason or another, usually misinformation and lies, and we want them back. But ultimately, it comes down to, there being no middleman between us and them. It's just, I talk directly to my customers. There's no DC Comics or anyone else to get in between me and them. So that relationship, as long as that line is unbroken, we're invincible. And that's why ComicsGate is so scary to the mainstream.
Yeah, it's cool. A lot of the stuff going on right now is really cool. I'm curious where it goes.
It's probably have notifications on for his channel so they can boost their numbers as soon as he says anything. From my perspective, it would appear that when he realized he'd burned his career as a pro artist with his divisive and abusive rhetoric, he pivoted to 2 alternative forms of income. One is by crowdfunding.
You can pause it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
But I'll pause it. Just say whatever you want.
Yeah, just 2 forms of income. I mean, you got to diversify your revenue stream.
Let me sit you down on my lap, boy. Let me tell you about diversifying your revenue stream. Come on.
Diversity in comics. That's what we mean by that. Look, I think that he's close in saying that. Like, it's like, but not like, oh shit, what have I done? Now I better do something else. Right. At one point, when I left DC Comics, at first I was honestly thinking, I'm gonna come back in 2 years. Like, I told Dan, I was like, I'm gonna be on an island for 2 years, and I said, I'm not gonna badmouth DC Comics, but I'm going to do my own thing now. And he said, okay, man, okay.
Just not to interrupt, but had your boy Zach established the crowdfunding model when this conversation took place?
No.
So you didn't necessarily know. You didn't see that tangible way out.
No, I knew I was going to do it, but I just thought we're gonna tighten our belts and things are gonna be weird, but it's going to be a chance to really experiment with what I thought YouTube versus crowdfunding comics could actually be.
Okay, so other people had done it, not necessarily Zach. So you had an idea.
Well, other people hadn't done it really well. I was talking to Comicstorian and Comics Explained, and they literally had 1.6 million subscribers. And I said, why are you guys just talking about Marvel and DC Comics? Why aren't you publishing comics? Because if you guys did your own comics and promoted them with your gigantic audiences, you would beat their asses. And they both looked at me like, huh? That's not really what we're into. And I was like, fuck, give me your audience. So that's when I started a YouTube channel. And I just thought, if I could get myself in a position to be able to have a large audience to promote to, I could sell Cyberfrog really, really well. We didn't know how well it was going to do. This conversation with Dan DiDio happened, I think, early February, like the first week of February. And I don't know when Zach launched, probably like March or April. But by the time Zach launched and I saw how well it was doing, I was like, I got to get out of my contract. And one issue of Hal Jordan was taking me 2 months. So it's like, do not make me wait another 2 months. And I couldn't do Cyberfrog while still being under contract. I wrote them a letter and I said, thanks guys, please let me go. And they were kind enough to let me go.
This guy, to hear this guy tell it, he's basically saying, yeah, they kicked your ass out the door. Here you're begging them to let you go.
Yeah, but that would have happened inevitably later. I mean, this is the thing. Like, there's some truth to what he's saying. I'm sure that these guys would have kept pressuring and pushing. And DC Comics was already responding to what they were saying. They were saying, close down your social media. That's not a good sign.
Right.
That's not a fucking good sign. That made me feel pretty insecure about my spot at DC Comics.
Best case scenario for them, though, is that you keep making books and you shut down your social media. I mean, that's really what they wanted.
Yeah, they wanted me to continue making Hal Jordan books and then just kind of be quiet and just hope that this went away. But it would never have gone away. And I told Dan, I said, you don't understand. I said, I don't know if you're aware, there is a conspiracy of social justice warriors working within and without of the comic book industry to cancel people who disagree with far left-wing ideology. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And Dan said, you'd be surprised about what I'm aware of even. And when he said that, Dan knew that. Like, and now it's so obvious, like everybody in comics knew that. But like, I was so naive, I didn't know that. So, again, it is, I died, I was born again. I was born again hard. That's who we are now in ComicsGate. We see things for what they are. But this guy's, he's right. Like, yes, I became radioactive to DC. That was not my own fault. It was not my own doing. It was a concentrated effort. They were trying to make an example of me as one of the biggest voices in mainstream comics on the right. and they did so. You know, I dared them to do it. I said, at one point I said, just try to kick me out of comics. Just try.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that was a dare. That was a dare to them. So, anyway, let's let this guy talk more.
His kind of lame looking Cyber Frog, which he then sells for an absurd price, and it's
How
gotten
can you
terrible
say that,
reviews.
you jackass? How can you? That is so fucking awesome. Don't even, I mean, not even for a minute am I going to go, yeah, like you're right. It does look like that. Looks incredible. Everyone who sees that goes, where can I buy it? You are lying.
I'm laughing about the absurd price because I don't know. It's like, I think making money's good. I like making money.
Well, I mean, they go, well, it's $25 for a comic book. Comic books cost $5 or $6. And it's like, that's a regular sized comic book. This is a 60 pages of story with a bonus 20-page sketch cover pinup gallery. It comes in prestige format and autographed. So already just in content alone, it's worth 3.5 times what a normal comic book is worth. And it's autographed. Go to any of these other places like Dynamic Forces and find out what those comics are going for. More like $100. $25 is the correct price for a ComicsGate project.
Why is he shitting on all the people happy to pay that? Come on.
And, well, that's the
we're
thing.
not. I mean, we're not complaining.
Nobody's complaining about. By the way, for the next issue of Cyberfrog, which is probably one of the most anticipated Indiegogo campaign comics, crowdfunded comics, or indie comics, period. $25 is not too much of an asking price, and because I mean, basically, it's the price of what, going to the movies.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not out of the ballpark for it's a movie, and you get to keep it. You don't have to leave. And we're gonna have nobody's complaining. People are reselling it on eBay for twice what they paid. It is the correct price. It's market demands.
Number 2 is by leveraging his former pro career into that of an industry insider.
Hell yeah.
Despite the fact that I really don't think that he talks to anybody that knows anything. His brand is built on outrage and stirring up the anger of his white guy fans.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I mean, first of all,
why you gotta go there? Why is he gotta go there?
People know that my fans are of all persuasion. Not that it matters. It's not like I take a census. But, you know, one time I did say, everyone who is not a white male, send me videos saying, I am ComicsGate. Just look at the camera and say, I am ComicsGate. My email box was flooded by women, by black people, by, you know, Latinos, by gays, by even, we have like 2 trans fans, which is amazing. And, you know, so it's clear I have a very diverse audience. Do I make them angry? I hope so. There's every reason to be angry right now at the comic book industry. There's absolutely every reason. That, you know, that title of the article that you've got up there by Asher Elbein, that fucking cracker, that's infuriating. That's absolutely infuriating. That's, you know, these people are in a position to ruin the things that normal people have loved and always loved, and then destroy anyone who complains because they have ties to the media, to the left-wing media. Yeah. That's an infuriating article. There's every reason for people to be angry.
I hate when they categorize it as like a race thing. It just bugs the shit out of me. It does. Like, why? Like, what is it?
It's so old.
What does that have to do with anything?
It sounds stupid. It's old. Yeah. Who cares?
It's a smear. It's just a dirty smear. It's underhanded.
Yeah.
He creates parasocial relationships and uses his followers for profit. Everything he is these days is designed to be the industry figurehead of ComicsGate.
Hell yeah.
He's a hollow...
What, Ethan, are you trying to take over ComicsGate here? Come on! ComicsGate we agreed no leader.
Yeah, but I don't mind being the figurehead of ComicsGate. I want to be a loud voice for ComicsGate because it's something I really, really believe in. And if a large number of fans prop me up the way that they have and push me forward, what am I going to do? Like say, no, I'm not going to speak for you? I'm happy to speak for everyone who wants me to speak for them. I feel strongly about ComicsGate. It's something I talk about and think about all the time. absolutely all the time. And I think it's got a big future if we do it right.
Have you seen the movie Time Bandits? It's an old
No.
movie, but really, in Time Bandits, there's this line, and whenever this comes up, I always think of that line in the movie. The guy says, "Do you want to run this gang?" And he goes, "No, we agreed, no leader." And he says, "Then shut up and listen." It's like, yes, we agreed, no leader. Then shut up and listen.
Yeah, that guy is the leader. Yeah, there's a whole weird thing about ComicsGate though. Like anti-ComicsGaters point at me as the leader because my channel's the biggest, and I think that my channel was big and it's gotten bigger, and I'm able to ask my fans to support ComicsGate projects, and many of them have become ComicsGate and declared ComicsGate themselves. And then people say, ComicsGate is nothing but Ethan Van Sciver's fan club. Well, then everybody else get your asses to work. Why am I the only one who's selling ComicsGate comics to my fans? Like, you should be trying to sell Ethan Van Sciver comics to your fans, and I'll do the same for you. Like, it's absolutely absurd. But at the same time, I like it. I really, really like speaking out for ComicsGate. These people are dummies. Look at them wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing a mask? I don't wear.
He's afraid of being targeted by people. He's online. He's saying a bunch of lame stuff. He's giving a bunch of hot takes. Obviously, he's making a target. He's becoming a target.
He's targeting others. So I
he
don't
is.
understand.
Yeah. That's great point. Yeah, great point. Gives him the ability to smear people, which I don't necessarily like. No, not at all.
Mentally deranged hate monger who only serves to perpetuate lies about the industry disguised as pro secrets.
See,
Jesus Christ.
I know. See, he makes so many statements of fact that this is like a defamation case in the making here. Seriously.
Mentally deranged me?
Yeah,
Moi?
totally. That's what they say. Your channel is only designed to propagate lies. Like, Ethan, do you get up in the morning and think, what can I lie about today about the comic book industry? What lies can I put into the world?
No, that's what this guy does. I wake up in the morning and I go, what are people talking about? And I go, let me give my opinions on those things.
Yeah, exactly. What's hot?
And I could be wrong. I could be, the thing is, I could be wrong. I'm just giving my opinion and I'm giving what I hear. I'm telling people what I hear. And then I'm mixing that with my own personal experience with these people many times, who I've had personal relationships with and been privy to behind the scenes machinations. So that all mixed together equals Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And it is an entertainment channel. So it's not here to inform. You know what I mean? That's not the purpose of my show. The purpose of my show is to entertain. And I think I get it right most of the time. There have been times where I don't get it right, like Captain Marvel. I thought was going to bomb out. Should have known.
He mentions that. He mentions that in here.
Oh,
you got that wrong.
I got it wrong. That's fine. I understand.
But you're sitting here admitting it. I don't think he'd recognize that you're sitting here admitting it. Like you'd be trying to hide it.
Right. These people impute the worst motivations and everything to everything that I do. I'm very reasonable, Adam. I'm not, I'm not a monster. I'm not some guy who's sitting there like rubbing my hands together trying to figure out how to fool the world. I have a YouTube channel and I try to entertain people every single day. And I do it for ad revenue and super chats. I also do it to promote my comic book in order to get rich. That is it. I don't know how much more clear that needs to be. There's no other motivation behind that. Now, as my charitable deed, is ComicsGate. ComicsGate is me saying, look, I am so blessed that I'm going to help other people too. I'm going to promote other independent, Indiegogo campaigns by creators who otherwise might not get funded, who should be funded and who should be successful because their stuff is really, really good. So free of profit. I'm not looking for anything. I've never taken money or payola for that. That's my charitable, good humanitarian deed to the world. And I think it is. To get guys who am I helping right now?
You're like a voice of reason too in lots of other areas as well too. Like there's this whole Critias thing that went down, and you were definitely like a voice of reason in that. So I mean, it's not
Yeah,
just promoting people. Sometimes people need a stable outside voice to say, you know, this shouldn't be happening, or this should be happening. So you're definitely stewarding ComicsGate in a way that I definitely approve of. But I think a lot of the people on the other side of this, the anti-ComicsGate people, they think that, well, they constantly are calling ComicsGate a cult. So they actually think that if you told people to do nasty stuff, that they would do it. And I just don't see that being the case. Like, people will take your advice because it's good advice. As soon as it stops becoming good advice, I think people would turn on you just as fast as anyone else on the internet.
Well, I think that's right. I think a good way to lose my audience would be to ask them to do things that, you know, would make them look bad.
Yes.
You know, I've asked them to do things that are fun, like vote up Mike S. Miller's, you know, his poll about who should win the art contest. I said, let Mike win every single week. And they agreed to do it because they thought it was funny.
No one is being harmed by that, though.
That's right.
I mean, Mike S. Miller will act like he's being harmed about that. Sure, he's going to cry you a river, but no one's actually being harmed by that stuff.
Oh, of course not. God forbid.
Just all good fun.
He's a cancer on the industry and in fandom in general. He makes nonstop content that revels in the...
I know, where's this... Cancer on the industry.
The failures of comics and sci-fi.
He's got all your thumbnails. You've been working hard on your new thumbnails. I like that.
Yeah, like I really got it. I put my logo in a box in the corner now, which I really think helps. I'm using the same font all the time, which I think looks nice. And big, beautiful colors, a variety of colors. And yeah, it's responding. Like I've gotten 700 new subscribers in the past week.
Really?
So. Yeah. We're growing back. I mean, I was declining. I was doing so many super chats that I lost something like 1,800 subs from people going, where are the short videos? Where are the Star Wars videos? So I just went, fuck it. Let's just do these short videos again and chronicle the decline of the comic book industry. And yes, subs are coming back big time. So it's great.
It would be like 7,000 subs if all these had laser eyes. I'm telling you, people can't resist the laser eyes.
I have to admit, I agree. But I'm always like, look at the people in my thumbnails. Why would any of them have laser eyes?
I know. You see, you give the bad guys the red lasers and the good guys the white lasers. It's how it's done. Yeah. Trust me, I know. Lasers are my thing.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. What kind of fan celebrates failures of things that they allegedly love just nonstop? Whether he's making it up or it's based in reality, he just loves talking
Haters
shit.
Keep failing. And why we keep winning. You know.
Yeah.
Rose Tico, justice for Rose Tico at last. It doesn't look like I'm celebrating failure of good people. I'm celebrating the failure of bad people, and I'm celebrating the success of good people.
Do you think? I wonder if this guy's got a book on the horizon. I'm curious.
I don't know, but look, Laser Eyes, Sweetcast, John
You've
Favreau,
got one
these guys
there.
are heroes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
I know what's up. I just, I don't do it all the time. But yeah.
Reveling, celebrate.
I will get. If you start doing the laser eyes regularly, people will tweet at me and they'll say, because they think that's my intellectual property or something. They do it all the time.
Rating in not even failures, but when things just don't quite live up to their potential. I mean, he's buddies with the Quartering, and he's made 22 videos about Rose Tico from The Last Jedi.
About the Quartering? I mean, the
What's
Quartering. Am I buddies with the Quartering still? I'm not so sure.
It doesn't seem like it. I didn't get to listen. I saw some clips that Preston Poulter had clipped, and I wish that I wish the stream was still up, because it seemed like you did great with the Quartering. When you joined his stream after your stream, right? I didn't know that happened.
Yeah. It was weird. Like people were telling me, I just did a promo stream because I wanted to get Cyberfrog Unforgettable Tales going. But the whole time people were saying the Quartering is, bad mouthing you. Quartering is a strange mama jama. And Jeremy, I love you, but something's up. He sent me these messages and he's just like, so do you want to talk? And I hadn't even thought about him. I'd moved on from his ComicsGate thing. And I said, yeah. No, he said, do you want to talk tonight? And I said, yeah. What do you want to do? And he's like, well, we could live stream. We could joint live stream, or maybe we could just talk in private. And I said, yeah, let's do a live stream, but do it on my channel. Do me the favor. It's like, you've got enough subs. I'm trying to build subs. So let's do it on my channel. And he was quiet. He didn't answer me. And then all of a sudden I go, hello. And he goes, are you streaming yet? And I go, no, I'll do it right now. So I start a live stream up, okay, with his name in it, because I'm assuming, and never assume, I'm assuming he's saying, yeah, I'll come on as soon as you live stream. So I started my stream. And I'm waiting for him, and I send him the link, and he doesn't respond, and he goes, what the fuck is this goofy link? I said, it's the link to the live stream you asked me to do. And he's like, I'm busy right now. I'll get back to you when I'm done. I was like, you fucking asked me to do, you came to me. You came to me and asked for a conversation. I didn't come to you. What is this shit? So, and then he's on his channel, and he's doing nothing but bad-mouthing me, and he's saying, Ethan's trying to start drama. Ethan just starts a chat up with my name in it to make super chats. Meanwhile, that's what he did. I didn't. So I'm just sitting there waiting for him to come on and talk to me about this, and he never did. And so I just talked about my stuff, and I ended my chat. I was going to go to bed, and then I get a message from him, and I called him up, and I just said, what do you want to do? What's going on with you? He's like, I'll send you the link. So I come on his show, and I didn't know this, but I hadn't heard his show up until this point. I wasn't listening. I come on his show, and it's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? And it's just like normal friends. He's agreeing with me. I'm agreeing with some of the points he made about how we need to do less infighting and more videos. Got it. I agree. I want to show me how to make better thumbnails and stuff, and how to work the algorithm, Jeremy, because I could use your help to make my channel grow. And that was it. It ended on a perfectly, Jeremy acting like there was no problem at all. He deleted his video. He deleted the whole live stream. And then somebody sent me a link to it because they recorded it. And I watched the first. Yeah. I'll, if you want to see it, I'll send it over.
Yeah, totally.
I want to
know I like drama. I want to know the dirt.
The first 90 minutes of it are him running us into the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I show up, and then suddenly he's sweet as sugar. And it's like, Jesus Christ. He's calling
at least he deleted it. Maybe he had a change of heart.
Well, I think so. And then immediately the next day he picks a fight with Keemstar. I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. YouTube, people say Edwin Boyette is like, it's holler for $1 on YouTube. It's people trying to stir up drama and pick fights to make super chats. That's not what I do. Okay. That's not what I do. I'm interested in super chats. I'm interested in making money on YouTube, but I don't sit there and go, let me pick a fight with someone who I was previously a friend with for no good reason so I can make super chats. But that is what goes on YouTube.
That is the YouTube. Me. Yeah, totally. That's the YouTube model. But we have this other factor because you can't do that and sell books. It's like you can't be a dick to people and sell books. So that's like the constraining factor on ComicsGate.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think, again, what we do is we kind of point out instances where customers aren't being treated right. And Star Wars is great for that. There's so many, Disney is great for that. Using those guys as object lessons in our videos. And you could say, well, that's creating drama. Is it? I mean, I don't really know. I don't know if that's creating drama to make 22 videos about Rose Tico. Frankly, I thought I made 122 videos about her. I'm shocked that it's just 22.
I haven't even seen one. So.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good.
As someone who likes to burn children's toys, I'll have to check them out. I'll see what your game was. You cut the heads off and stuff, right? I've heard of them.
Here's what it was. The problem was that Rose Tico toys were the only toys. First of all, Rose Tico was a character that was clearly put in there to say, look, we're being diverse. She was the diversity hire of Star Wars. And they pushed her. I mean, Mark Waid said, I can finally sleep at night knowing that a beautiful character like Rose Tico exists in the world. So fucking weird. Did you see the same movie I saw? She was horrible in that movie. And none of it made any sense. And it's not like we're lacking, what are we lacking Asian people in sci-fi? What are you fucking kidding me? Have you seen a movie called Godzilla? We got nothing but Asian people in sci-fi movies. What on earth are you talking about? But in any case, if you go to Walmart, if you used to go to Walmart, all the Star Wars toys would be gone except for Rose and Rose of Rose. Just Rose Tico. And it was absurd. It was really ridiculous and over the top. And I used to make videos where I would go to Walmart and prove it. 28 Rose Ticos. So I bought them all on one video. I literally bought every single Rose Tico toy. I filmed myself buying them at Walmart, or
Nice.
running them cashier, and then I took them home and I opened them all. Like, I filmed myself opening them, getting progressively more and more upset. Like, you just saw my hands, but like at first it was a nice open, and then it got worse and worse and more manic as the music swelled, and then eventually I just cut through one with a pair of scissors, and that was the joke. It was just the insanity of this, these worthless toys, these absolutely worthless toys, and YouTube having a culture of doing opening, like box opening videos. And so getting more and more angry as you're opening these worthless Rose Tico toys. So that became Ethan is harassing Rose Tico off of the internet. But I mean, go watch that video. It's like a Yule log. I opened about 20 of them and looped it over and over again to a 1 hour Rose Tico opening stream. Which is one of my best viewed videos.
Cool.
True piece of art, says Low Res Boy. Yeah, thank you.
It's pretty obvious he's a grifter, albeit one with enough industry clout to easily sucker
what is a
upset
grifter?
comic.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask you, what is your definition of a grifter?
I would say Critias is a grifter. I would say, yeah, at this point. It's hard because they'll say ComicsGate's full of grifters, and what are you going to do? I have to shrug and go, well, yeah, we've seen some grifters come and go.
I don't know if Critias is lying to himself though. That's the one thing that I couldn't tell, and people are so willing to lie to themselves. I always think of a grifter as someone who really knows what they're doing, like they're calculating. And I don't think there are many grifters.
No, yeah, I mean, well, I think there are some. But you got to know that, like, Anita Sarkeesian's a grifter. You got to know Zoe Quinn is a grifter.
Oh yeah,
you got to know Tess
totally.
Fowler is a grifter. I mean, most of the SJWs are grifters, but I see myself as a businessman. I fully am aware of what I'm doing. I'm making funny YouTube content in order to build up an audience so that I can market my comic book to them. If that's grifting,
well, it's not grifting if you tell it. Like, you're supposed to keep the grift to yourself.
But I mean, grifting is like, ultimately it's a scam and you're not getting what you're paying for. And I mean, that's what's insulting about it. It's like, no, I'm extremely entertaining on the radio. And I use my radio show, which is what Comic Artist Pro Secrets essentially is, to market and sell my product, which is a comic book. That is not grifting by any standard. By any definition would you call that grifting. That's just really good business.
The reason why the grifting label stings so much is because it not only puts a penalty on you, it puts a penalty on anyone who might like you, because it makes them into a dupe. And I think that's why they use it so much. Yeah,
it's a really good buzzword, and it's infuriating. It really is. You hear it and you go, "Fuck you!" It hits you every single way. But you're right about that. It also stings the customers.
Yeah.
And look at this guy. You're gonna listen to this guy about who's a grifter and what?
Yeah, look exactly. He's this guy. We don't even know what he looks like. What kind of grift is that?
Marks. So, the big question: is DC Comics closing down if their 5G reboot isn't successful later this year? No, it's not. This is all.
Go ahead.
How do you know that? You fucking idiot. I mean, these people are so dumb. Like, DC Comics is now owned by AT&T. AT&T is a soulless corporation that is billions and billions of dollars in debt. Billions of dollars in debt. They are cutting the fat. They've used that term. They have gigantic hedge funds like Elliott, who are saying, look, this merger better work out, and you better cut the fat because we, your shareholders, are getting pissed off. AT&T, and not only that, DC Comics is reacting as though they're fully aware of all of this. DC Comics is reacting as a organization, a business that fully knows that it's on the chopping block. Because if it didn't, why would they be doing something called 5G? If DC Comics wasn't fully aware that they were in trouble, why wouldn't it just be business as usual? I mean, for you with your big, bulgy, weird, special needs eyes to look at me and say no, to me, that you know for a fact that this isn't true, when the entire industry is panicking right now. And when people have come to me, people in positions to know, and I'm talking about the toppermost of comics. Okay. I'll tell you off the air, Adam.
Did you? I'm laughing at Cecil's comment.
What is Cecil saying? Never trust
some weirdo in a mask on YouTube.
Yeah. Here's the thing. People, let me just put it this way, and I'll just sum it up. Companies that are not in trouble after a merger do not behave the way DC Comics is behaving right now. And for you to sit there and go, they just fired Dan DiDio, they just fired D.D. Myers, they're turning over the apple cart in every effort to change their publishing plan. For you to say they're okay, you are very, very naive.
I actually did a meeting. I talked to the guy that I've told you has an Academy Award in documentary filmmaking. I was talking to him about the ComicsGate documentary. It wasn't like a scheduled meeting or anything. We were just out for drinks. And I'm curious because there's two narratives here with the get woke, go broke. There's the narrative that companies are out to gain market share. So they do the woke advertising and woke storylines or whatever it is to kind of capture a younger demographic. And then there's also a narrative that they're just in trouble. And it's like the last gasp to try to save the company. And I don't necessarily know which of those narratives is accurate.
Well, I think that they think that the reason why comics aren't selling as well anymore is that their audience is old and dying.
Yeah.
We're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. We're still here. And if you continue to market to us, because we're the people who buy your comics, then you still have a good 20, 30 years of business ahead of you. If you do what you're doing and try to disenfranchise us from what you're doing by what you're selling, what you're marketing, market comics to young people who have no way of getting them. They do not drive. The YA market is not for comics. By necessity, you have to have a driver's license to buy comics. You know, unless mommy is going to take you to the store every Wednesday, this is something that only adults can indulge in right now. So comics is almost suicidal in their scrambling for any audience, any crowd, any customer base, except for the one that has kept them in business this long. It's absolutely infuriating. It's very, very strange. They just hate their audience. They hate us, and they say it every single day. They talk about old white men. We're the ones who are keeping the lights on, dickheads.
If it is a last gasp thing, the 5G thing makes sense in that context. Like they're just out for any audience whatsoever, so they're just going to go woke storylines, all that woke stuff.
But here's how AT&T looks at it. AT&T goes, so we're putting out a new Batman movie with, and they're doing the right thing, by the way. We're putting out a new Batman movie with a young, what would you call him? Like heartthrob of,
totally.
Of like young women.
It's funny that the Twilight guy, since they've tried to turn comic books into Twilight, it's funny that now they literally have the Twilight guy playing Batman.
But they found the key. I mean, they found the key to getting women into comics. How do you get women into comics? Well, of course. How do you get?
No, I totally agree. It's just Jason so ironic that it's like we can't have sexy women in comic books or in comic book movies. It's like all these woke directors like Charlie's Angels and they want to avert the male gaze, but now all of a sudden they're like, we'll get a heartthrob for Batman.
That's
sexist.
But that's what works. And they sit there. Right now you have soy boys and lesbian feminists making decisions about what's going to bring women into comics. And so what's the answer? Strong, butch, birds of prey, angry looking lesbians. And that's going to attract like people like my wife to go to see. No. You know what works? Jason Momoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Shirt on,
exactly.
And suddenly you've got ladies going to go see Aquaman. What's going to work? How are you going to get teen girls to like Batman? You put Edward from Twilight in there as Batman, and at the same time that AT&T is succeeding with this practice, what does DC Comics do as a response? Let's make Batman an old black man for 5G.
Oh, I know.
I mean, they're so off base with everything that they're doing. They're still making decisions. Soy boys and lesbian third wave feminists are still making the decisions for the comic book marketing arm. Well, Warner Brothers and now AT&T are doing almost everything right. Whenever they get a chance, Birds of Prey notwithstanding, they're getting women in there by actually putting attractive male leads in these superhero roles. That's all women want. They don't want to look at themselves as angry, butch lesbians. They want to look at beautiful men. That's what they want, as it turns out. We could have told them that. We've been telling them that for a long time.
Yeah, totally.
When was the last time Batman worked with females? Val Kilmer. It's like that's when they went to go see Batman. So here we go. We're going to do it again. And DC Comics is right just so far offline with what they're doing.
Oh, I know.
It's inevitable.
I don't know that normies know what's going on in the actual comic books. I feel that they would be completely shocked by that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's what goes on right now. We've got people who are like, this guy's calling me mentally deranged, and it's like, well, I mean, look, I wear wigs and ascots, but like I'm here. I think I make sense. Mentally deranged is not recognizing what I'm saying is 100% true and calling me a bigot. What I'm saying is true, and it's not. Social justice warriors don't like to hear it. But here's the truth. The truth is your audience is about 80% white male in my age group. And women are not attracted to looking at other women. Women want to see beautiful men. Those are the two things that are true and will lead to success. If you just acknowledge those two factors, you're going to do very well in your comics and your movies.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
All based around the long-running myth that the comics industry is on life support and is dying, which has been repeated for a decade or more. But this is disinformation, just repeated by guys like EVS who use it to lure angry men to his content to support his independent work and believe he is giving them the play-by-play in real time as the comic industry collapses and dies in an ash heap due to SJW degenerates and other.
I don't know.
I think that's real
DC,
footage.
Is that DC headquarters there?
Yeah, that's DC's New York headquarters just before they moved to LA.
Oh, perfect.
Such nonsense.
We don't need this building anymore. We could sell this and deal with some of our debt, but no, let's just burn it down.
Burn it to the ground. I like that. Wish I had that.
And as I said in the Doom Dong video, the most important element of the anti-fan grift is to claim that the property or industry.
Why is he saying you're anti-fan? That's so wrong. No, wrong. Bad man in the mask.
Yeah, I think that's the wrong way to put it. I think even my detractors would have to acknowledge that I'm pro-customer, pro-fan, anti-corporate comics. I'm very much anti-corporate comics, and I'm very much anti-social justice warriors. Those are my two things. Corporate comics, I'm mostly anti-SJW, but I'm against corporate comics because I think that they steal the creative energy and life force of comic book creators, don't pay them enough. And leave them sick and dying with no healthcare plan. These guys, and I did it too. Look, I worked for DC for 20 years, and that's 20 years that I could have been working on Cyberfrog and establishing my own IP. I could have had a movie, a video game by now. Instead, I accepted a quick paycheck, to maintain corporate icons that I have no ownership over and that will not feed my kids after I die. So waste of my time, waste of my life. And most of these guys are too afraid to get out from under these corporations and do it for themselves. DC and Marvel are fully aware of this. And one of the reasons why they really, really hate ComicsGate is because we encourage their professionals to stop accepting a paycheck there and go out and do it on their own.
Exactly.
Stop accepting a minuscule portion of what you're worth and accept 100% of the profits of your own hard work. And once people realize that, that is going to change everything. It's going to change everything. So they have to keep these
Totally.
guys scared. There are going to be social consequences to being a part of ComicsGate, and that narrative needs to be spread so that people stay exactly where they fucking are, drawing. I don't know what.
They're the battered wives in this scenario. We're like, listen, you're being beaten here. This is not going to get better.
Right.
This is your chance out.
Come on out, join us, independence.
They're like, no, we like beating our wives. Shut up, Ethan.
They're going to call us names. If we do, they're going to call us names, and we're not going to be invited to any of their shrinking parties anymore. Oh shit!
Well, they are going to call you Nazi, and they are going to call you.
Of course they are. And what is that worth to you? You know, I said this to another pro. I'm like, these so-called friends of yours, and I know you're a ComicsGate. These so-called friends of yours. What are those dinners that you have with them 4 times a year worth to you? Because I know what they're paying you.
Totally.
And it's like, if you came with us, you would be making $200,000 a year and own your IP. So are those 4 dinners worth $200,000 to you? Or not? I mean,
that's a very reasonable pitch, Ethan.
Thank you.
Is on the decline, and that everyone hates it, and that no one enjoys what they're currently putting out. This is, of course, empirically untrue, but these guys need to make it appear true so that they can siphon off money from bitter fans while creating more bitter fans to profit from. Yes.
I fucking hate that narrative. I hate that narrative.
What aspect of that do you hate?
Just that we're making people angry. It's so wrong. People are angry. I mean, we are profiting from it, but we're not creating the anger. The industry's creating the anger. It's got an ass backwards.
That's right. I mean, people are noticing that something's wrong. And the reason why people like your boy Zach became so popular overnight isn't because he was spreading a lie and creating anger. I mean, this narrative relies on the idea that people are stupid and people are easily led. And that's just insulting. And I can't go along with that. Zach put voice to how people were feeling. Like they're like, something's wrong. And I can't express what's missing from this hobby that I used to love. And then Zach, who agreed with them, expressed it very eloquently. And suddenly he became very popular. And that's what this is. So this guy, his narrative depends on being extremely condescending to normal people and saying, you guys are dumb, you're sheep, you're being easily led around by your nose just so this guy can get rich. Yeah. It's a dumb social justice warrior tactic. It's completely bullshit. I don't even answer it. It's like, these guys, I don't need to be insulted on behalf of my fans. They'll be perfectly insulted by this guy on their own.
The comics industry has had some ups and downs, most notably the market bust in the 90s. But as for currently, more recently, let's get some numerical context. In 1997, the estimated size of the market was 300 to 320 million. Today, it's 780 million. And that doesn't even count digital sales, which are on the rise.
Is that an inflation trick that he's doing there?
I don't even know. I'm not prepared to answer those numbers. Yeah. What I do know is the comic book industry has declined for the last 5 years. And
if you have to run too, you're under no obligation to finish out the video. So just to let you know.
No, I want to watch the video. But I mean, numbers like that. Talk to Zach about that. Like that's a trick. Obviously, it's a lie. But I can't explain it. I can't.
Just off the top of my head, it feels like here's what the industry was before inflation happened, and then here's what we're doing today. Like normally they do it measured in $1990 or whatever. So they do this with movies.
Could be, and it's also likely that Marvel Comics has doubled their output and are publishing more comics today than they did back then for higher prices. So the cover price has more than tripled since 1997. And it's like they're publishing twice as many comics. So, I mean, those numbers could easily be taken apart. But, like I said, I'm not going to do that here. I'd have to actually do some research first.
Yeah, let's not do that. Research is boring.
Which is 4 times what the comic industry was making almost 20 years ago. Some of that is certainly due to inflation, but inflation doesn't account for it.
He admits
there it is.
He admits it.
quadruple jump in market share.
But who knows? Maybe.
Not only are comic books not dying, they are thriving. Yes, single issues sold.
The real question is to ask how comic book stores are doing.
Yeah,
and that's the main issue. It's not about whether Marvel Comics is able to continue to scam more money from fewer people, which is what's happening. I mean, variant covers, all kinds of #1 relaunches and scams. They could very well. They've increased the cover price of their comics to sometimes $7 for a regular book. They might. I mean, Marvel might be getting more money. They from these comic book stores, but comic book stores are not doing as well, and also fans are not buying them. Not in the same way that they were in '97.
I think I'm odd man out, so I don't like to talk about it a lot. But I don't know that the comic book store is going to last. And I know people have a lot of nostalgia for the comic book store, so it's not like it's a touchy subject, but I don't. There's an all-out assault on brick and mortar altogether. Like you said, it's a digital world. People want to be able to order from their computers and forget about it. Have it delivered the next day. So,
but that's inevitable. Yeah, I mean, that's a real truth. Is that people just, if you want to sell to kids, you do need to make it point and click, and that's something that's going to have a terrible effect on comic book retailers. They're not going to be around for much longer.
Of printed comics has decreased by 20% over the last 20 years. But comic book companies have tripled their market size through trade paperback sales, digital sales, and of course, increased prices. But
that's another thing that goes into that numbers. They're selling, copies of Watchmen because Watchmen was popularized by the movie and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily know if that's in those numbers. They're profiting. I mean, didn't they just profit off of your Green Lantern stuff by putting out a recent run of it or something?
Yeah. They're re-releasing all my Green Lantern stuff. They're releasing the #1 issue as a $1 book, and then they just put out a new kind of hardcover of Green Lantern Rebirth. And trade paperbacks are going to do very, very well. Yeah, they are. They're always repackaging material and releasing them as trades is going to do well.
So that's something that they can just pull off the shelf. There's absolutely zero production cost and make money off of.
You bet. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do it too.
The thing that none of this takes into account, the thing that makes it certain that comic books are not, DC's not going to be shutting down this year. Okay? Like, that's not on the horizon. That's not even a realistic possibility. And here's why. Comic books are a highly prized, cheap method of...
Do you want to respond? You got the pause over there.
I mean, this guy is just making assertions that are like...
pretty much.
You better be right. I'm not making any such assertion. I'm saying it's looking really, really bad. And from what I'm hearing, AT&T is cracking the whip on DC publishing. And I've been in comics for I've been at DC for 20 years. I've heard all of this. I mean, what you're doing right now is you're making the con artist argument that DC Comics would make to AT&T, and the same argument that they're making to fans. Like, don't give up on us. Don't quit on us. We're not out of business yet. And if we tell you the truth of how bad it really is right now, we're afraid you're going to run screaming and just give up buying comics. But you have to understand, it's just basic math. This is not the same thing as when DC Comics had to go to Warner Brothers and when there wasn't all of this product out there in entertainment. It's not the same situation where DC could go, well, look, we for every 1,000 horrible ideas that we have in our books, we might have one good one, and that one good one will really make a great movie. AT&T is going, there's so much stuff coming out right now that's being written by Hollywood writers. What do we need you for? The argument used to be, we publish all the time and we keep our characters' copyrights and trademarks in print. We keep them in perpetuity. Warner Brothers is now like, we don't need to do that anymore. These characters exist outside of the comics, so we don't need you to publish anymore to maintain trademarks. That argument's gone out the window. Yeah, well, we create great stories and great ideas. They're going to give you guys the stuff that you need to make better entertainment media. When was the last time you did that? We basically nowadays we just hire Hollywood writers. And anyway, if we wanted to resort to comics, we have 85 years worth of material in archive to choose from. We don't need any new stuff. And you guys are out there going, well, maybe Batman should be black.
Yeah, totally.
You guys
maybe Spider-Man should be gay.
Maybe like that is your bag of tricks, and Hollywood is capable of doing that too. Surprise, if Hollywood wants to make Batman into a black guy, they can do that just fine without the help of Brian Michael Bendis. DC Comics is fucked, and I mean, it might not be this year, it might be next year, but it's gonna happen. And Jim Lee saying, I hope DC, I'm gonna still be doing this in 85 years. Well, I don't know if Jim Lee's planning to be 140 years old, but that's a pretty delusional statement. DC Comics will not live another 85 years, and they will be very lucky to make it through this year and very lucky to make it through the next year, should they survive this year. It's it's the future. It's remember how you guys used to be progressives and used to talk about progress? Paper pamphlets in the past. It's the future.
The old progress argument. I love it.
It's progress.
Content creation that movies, video game industries, and others keep alive with licensing deals.
What you're looking at there is you're looking at every single reason why comic books don't need to exist anymore. See that big spike right there?
Yeah.
That's Hollywood taking the ball and running with it.
Right. Yeah. They own the property because it's in movies. They're like, we've had Batman for 20 years.
They can do it. They're capable of writing Batman movies without, DC Comics. They just don't need them. They don't need to publish anymore.
Yeah. Well, if the comics were making the same kind of cultural impact that they once did, then you have an argument for it. But if they're not even selling enough to make any kind of, headway for a movie, then what the hell are they doing?
Well, I mean, Hollywood is going to strip mine the comic book industry. They're going to take Frank Miller. They already took Jeff Johns. They're going to take people who are significant voices in comics and just move them right over to entertainment. Why would they? Why would they keep these guys doing paper pamphlets? If Frank Miller is, the goose that lays golden eggs, which he used to be, hey, let's just fucking hire him and have him write, screenplay.
Skip the middleman.
That's right.
Like Avengers and Captain Marvel are being made, as long as streaming platforms are being launched with comic book heroes as the major draw, comics will exist as a proving ground for characters and stories.
Comics will always be around independently. I don't think that'll ever change. Even if the big two go under, I think people will still make comics.
Yeah, well, I will, and so will ComicsGate. So let's, this guy's saying DC Comics closing down publishing means the end of the comic book industry.
No, it doesn't.
And here's what's going to happen. AT&T is factually going to close down DC publishing. Might happen this year. It might happen next year. It might happen 5 years from now. But it is imminent. In a real sense, it's going to happen because they just don't need it. It's just not necessary, and AT&T doesn't care. So they've made that clear. DC Comics is already behaving as a company that's terrified. When DC Comics closes down, that's 1/3 of the market share of the comic book industry that disappears overnight, and there goes the direct market. Okay, so Diamond Distribution will follow suit.
They're going to go out of business because they're not going to. Their major client is going to basically abandon them.
They will no longer be shipping comic books to brick and mortar stores. That's going to go away because if DC Comics isn't here, that's too big of a hit. It's just too big of a hit.
33% of their business.
Right. So what will Marvel Comics do? Marvel Comics will probably publish and distribute through Amazon. So will some of the smaller companies. IDW, Boom Studios, Dynamite Comics will become available. They will crowdfund. They will be available on Amazon.com and other platforms on the internet. But the direct market will disappear, and the comic book industry will shrink microscopically overnight when that happens. All of this stuff is just teetering. I mean, it's hanging on by a thread. And it is infuriating to watch this guy just sit there and boldly lie as if everything's okay. It manifestly is not. And nobody in comics is going to really tell someone who they're not trying to con that the comic book industry is safe and healthy right now. It is not. and people are terrified and afraid.
Your grandkids are going to read comic books. They're going to be around forever.
I mean, just the direct market, and we're talking about the direct market, it is going to die. And so, it's going to be a matter of how are we going to get comics out there? How comic books are still going to exist. It's going to be much smaller. Fewer people are going to be able to do them, but we're still going to find a way to get comics out there. And ComicsGate is, with its zero pipeline distribution method, is leading the way right now for small press. We are showing you how it's going to happen. It's interesting that they're trying to stop us right now. But I don't know, maybe we're adding fuel to the fire. But this guy's whole argument, I would be wearing a mask too. This is humiliating.
That's awesome. I see Yellow Flash in the chat. What's up, Yellow Flash? He gave me a super chat. Thanks for the super chat. I don't want to read it because other people have given me super chats, and I feel YouTube etiquette is I should read them in order, and I've been kind of lagging. I kind of skimmed them. I don't know that any of them are direct questions of you, Ethan, so I'll go ahead and continue.
The comics industry is inherently tied to the film industry now. So the fact is, comics are going to be around for quite a while longer. That includes DC. So keep this in mind the next time you see an article from Bounding Into Comics, Cosmic Book News, We Got This Covered, or anything sourced as Ethan Van Sciver.
It's a dreaded source. See, that's why I started doing this video. I was like, his whole argument is, this guy's a bad guy. You can't listen to him. Everything he says is bullshit.
I would debate this guy anytime, any
totally.
place. I'd be happy to.
Make an argument.
I understand where he's coming from, and I understand he's hopeful. And when somebody like me is the deliverer, I'm just the messenger. Okay, I'm just saying this is what's going on right now. There might be something that's going to happen that's going to save the day. I don't know what it would be, but it could happen. I mean,
but you're celebrating it, Ethan. You're celebrating.
Am I? I don't know.
It's exactly the same thing as the Trump. You're celebrating.
I'm laughing about it. Am I celebrating it? It's like no.
Their loss is your gain, definitely.
Is it?
Well, it is. Sure. I mean, if they're screwing up their IPs right and left, and disaffected people are leaving because of it, and they're buying your books because they're still comic book fans, hell yeah, it's your gain.
Yeah, I don't know. I've still got to.
You seem conflicted about it.
Yeah, I don't want this to happen. It's like it's funny to me because we've been saying social justice warriors are killing comics. Turns out that social justice warriors aren't helping. But the fact is, AT&T is what is going to end up killing comics.
Right.
Like AT&T is going to kill comics, and it's outside of anyone's control. So it's funny. I did this whole video about Jim Lee, basically announcing that they're not going to replace Dan DiDio's publisher. They're just going to let him do it. And it's like, Jim is making pronouncements that everything's good. DC is going to be around for a long time. And none of this is in his control. And when AT&T finally pulls the rug out from under DC Comics, which they will, it's not going to be Jim Lee's fault. And he might as well come out there and say, hey, everything's okay. Fuck these people who are saying. He might as well say that. It doesn't make a difference. And I really came to realize that Warner Brothers not replacing Dan DiDio is not a good sign.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
downsizing.
We're downsizing. We're just going to let Jim Lee do it because do we care really? Not really. We can pretty much see the writing on the wall. Nobody is doing this going, Jim Lee's competent. Jim Lee is the guy to lead DC Comics into the next decade. Nobody is saying that. They're just saying, well, we're going to hire somebody else right now. We just fired a guy with a $3 million.
Now we don't have to pay him. That's money we can
downsizing. So, I mean, and people are saying AT&T isn't killing comics. Demand is. Well, that too. That would do it. That would do it slower. Okay. But AT&T is going to do it quick, just like that. And they're not even going to care. And when you say to AT&T, you killed our comics, they're going to be like, fuck you, nerds. It's going to be a bunch of guys in suits that make $50 million a year who entirely see DC Comics as a loss leader. And they just give up. They just go, look, they got to go. We're cutting them out. And that's going to be the end of the comic book industry.
They're going to say, go see the movie.
Yep. What? Batman's not dead. We're putting out a movie with Twilight Kid. What's the matter with you?
Exactly. Get there on opening day.
If you want to look into the details of those liars' hateful and sensationalist past, the links are in the description.
Just throws in just a passing, that liar.
Why are these people obsessed over
want to win
this? I mean, it's just like this guy is I feel like everyone's talking about
psychology, Ethan. It's totally psychology. You're the big kahuna, man. They get to go after you,
but I can't fix this. Like this is not my fault.
They're just after attention, though. Seriously, they have little to lose by lashing out at you and everything to gain. I think it's a terrible strategy. I think you said something to me about someone told you on YouTube not to go after big YouTubers, and you they have the ability to crush you.
Yeah.
That's true. Someone told me that same exact thing. So I try to think. I'm just in general a nice guy. I don't like to go after people. I like to respond when people say stupid shit, but
right.
I don't like to go after people unprovoked.
Well, on the other hand, I mean, if you're really small and I don't take notice of you, you can, and I can't, what am I supposed to answer all these videos about me? But it's like, I feel like Adam, people go, he's a narcissist. Ethan Van Sciver's an egotistical narcissist. Narcissists think the world revolves around them. The world does seem to revolve around me. Everywhere I go, somebody's talking about
no, it's true. He's a narcissist.
Yeah. But they help it. What am I going to do? Every time I look, somebody's making a video about me or talking about me. I'm a big problem. I'm just doing what I do. But the problem is, Adam, I do what I do. And unlike them, when I do what I do it like I'm doing it for TV. These guys are boring.
Yeah, totally boring.
This guy is a boring mother effer.
Yeah,
I'm
totally
out there
boring.
putting on a show.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Sometimes the world just does revolve around you.
Right now it does. The comic book world does.
Awesome sketchbook, autographed by the wonderfully...
All right, I think we're done here anyway. I think he's just shilling his stuff, so we don't have to shill his stuff too.
He wants to. If you want to buy a copy or win a copy of this book, the DC sends crates of to me. DC, DC's still sending this stuff. It's absolutely worthless. Somebody come over to my house and get all of these DC comics. They're still in crates.
Well, that's funny. That's some inside info there.
Well,
you're giving away shit for free. Who's the grifter here? You're giving away worthless crap. Where's my iPhone 11, asshole?
Oh, I don't have those. I wish I did.
No, I'm saying, if you're giving away a gift, big YouTubers give away like an iPhone 11 or something like that. Something people actually want. Something that's valuable.
the people who go, okay, I've got all these Amazon gift card numbers, and they put them up on the screen real quick, and it's like first come, first serve.
Oh yeah. But they're from 2 years ago. They've already been redeemed.
Yes.
Those people are legitimate grifters. I think one YouTuber was called out for doing that, which is pretty hilarious. Dorby for $5 says, my Get Wrecked is in the mail. Crypto customer service is amazing. They print a t-shirt slightly off center and send me another after one email. So there's an endorsement for your, you did t-shirts, right?
Yeah. Crypto Fashion. They have a whole site for me. They have if you, Adam, I don't know if you want to make shirts or
I sell a ton of shirts.
Okay. Yeah, crypto is just great. I mean, they do all the drop shipping stuff for you.
I don't make $8 a shirt though. I'm a little jealous of that.
So go work with Crypto Fashion and stop worrying about it.
I'll check it out. I'll have to do a cursory search. I don't want any swastikas. I'm telling you, I'm in California. Well, my life is in jeopardy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's me and John Delarose, Don't be afraid.
You can take off. I have some super chats. I think I'll read, but I don't. Do you want to stick around for super chats? Or?
No. I'll listen. I'll listen to the super chats. I'm just drawing.
Live a life filled with love for $4.99 says it is better to speak the truth that may originally hurt, but to then heal, than to lie for a time calms and then kills. I'm a terrible reader. I'm totally dyslexic, Ethan, so don't make fun of me.
I got the same problem.
Do you really? You read super chats great. Are you kidding me?
I can't read numbers. I have a real problem saying numbers that I see, like not like number 5 or 12, but when it's like a 6-digit number, I can't say it the first time. I get it wrong.
We do our show, our Sunday show. I do another show with PSA Sitch, and he reads all the super chats. I can just sit back. It's so great. He does such a good job too. So our fans love it. Dragon Lord Jeremy for $2 says, "Do you all see the mainstream comic pros attacking SGM?" So that's
Sean
Gordon Murphy. That's it. You want to speak on that, or you want to let it go?
Well, Sean Gordon Murphy did a cover for Doug TenNapel. Now, Sean Gordon Murphy's always been friendly to ComicsGate. I think he is ComicsGate, but he's never like actually said so. And he did a cover for Bigfoot Bill 2, and probably is responsible for the success of that campaign single-handedly. People are just buying that book for Sean Gordon Murphy's cover. And there's a rumor going around, and I think that this rumor is kind of ill-conceived. I don't think it's true. That Sean Gordon Murphy, who he's going to have a DC imprint called White Knight.
My God.
I'm sorry. That's such a mistake.
God.
That's so bad. But it has to do with his White Knight Batman thing.
How do they not know that that's a total internet meme? How do they not know that?
I don't know, but it's funny, and I'm just kind of like that to myself. But in any case, there's a rumor going around. SJWs are panicking because they think that Sean Gordon Murphy, who is going to be allowed to hire people, is going to hire Doug TenNapel. And so SJWs are reminding people that Doug TenNapel is a homophobe, a transphobe, all the stuff that they say about him. And panicking. Now, I think this is just a mix-up. I think that they're just not fully aware that Sean Gordon Murphy just did a cover for Doug TenNapel. So when they say working with Doug TenNapel, that's what they're referring to. Right. But I could be wrong, and Doug could be working for DC. And the best thing about it is...
What?
Why not? Why not? The best thing about
I can't stand Doug TenNapel, but for completely different reasons. But that's like... What's the opposite of Schadenfreude in here? Like, to see Doug TenNapel succeed makes me angry.
Well, no, but okay, a couple of things. First of all, it's going to remind Doug TenNapel that no matter what he says, he is ComicsGate. And that's true. We've made it pretty safe for ComicsGaters. They feel like being ComicsGate was their choice. And for some people it was, but it wasn't my choice. It wasn't Zach's choice. It wasn't Mike Miller's choice. And it certainly wasn't Doug TenNapel's choice. Now, these guys think that they can walk away from ComicsGate, which is us saying, yeah, you call us ComicsGate, and we're proud to be ComicsGate. They think they can walk away from it and say, I'm not ComicsGate, and that means something. But in the real world, outside of our orbit, the island, our lifeboat that we built, the real world is, you're fucking ComicsGate, you bigot. And it has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with Zach or anything else. They know that you are blacklisted from the comic book industry. So Doug is going to get a quick refresher course on what it means to be ComicsGate and why it was better to just say, I am ComicsGate, fuck you, and why that was a much more empowering place to be. Is he going to work for DC? I think it's cool. I hope he does. If you think that's success, Doug TenNapel is going to make an eighth of what he made.
Yeah, totally.
Working on his own stuff outside. It's the slave trade. It's not.
How is Doug's lettering? What are they going to hire him for at DC?
I don't know. Well, Doug could do a nice Batman story in his style, I guess.
Really?
Sure.
Oh man.
I would do it. Why not?
That's crazy to me. That sounds.
If I were Sean Gordon Murphy,
insane.
I would hire Doug.
Sean Gordon Murphy is such a better artist, though, in my opinion. Obviously, it's all of it subjective, but
yeah, sure. No, he is though. Factually, it's not subjective.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're with me. Now let's kill him. Doug. Look, why not? Why wouldn't you? And I think Doug is interesting because Doug is very good at social climbing and bringing people into his orbit. So it's like, who does Doug need? Who does Doug need right now? And then he's going to, get in there and with his tongue and do what needs to be done. So I think he did a good job with Sean Gordon Murphy. And yeah, if he works at DC,
it would be an interesting thing for ComicsGate to watch. I don't think
yes.
They're already freaking out. They're going to tear Doug limb from limb. Basically, I'm already looking at Tess Fowler talking about it, and Tess Fowler is a fucking lunatic. She leads the parade, and if Tess Fowler is already worried about Doug TenNapel coming into their little orbit, Doug's in for a ride, and it's a shame that we can't help him.
I'm just would it be like a Batman book that like is in the children's book style? I mean, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this.
Well, you get a good writer, and then Doug.
So obviously, you're saying we can't have Doug as a writer. Then you're saying get a good writer.
Get a good writer, yeah.
So get a good writer. Okay, I like where we're going with this. And then Doug is doing the penciling or the.
I would say let Doug draw it
for Batman.
Yeah, just for a short story. I mean,
Oh, okay.
A one shot in and out,
like a children's book, like Batman grows up or something.
No, his children's book style, but for an adult story, it would make a nice contrast. Why not? Sure, yeah.
I don't know. It's just doesn't. I wouldn't buy it, but maybe someone would. Wouldn't be above my. I like adult comics. That's why I like ComicsGate. Come on, bring on the sexy ladies. Come on, bring on the subversive stuff. I like indie comics.
It's good. It'll be interesting. I mean, here's the thing. Again, I like seeing ComicsGaters invade these spaces, and we've got we already had Clint who's doing Downcast 2. He's going to be working with Alterna. He's going to be in comic book stores. That picture of the Brightwisers with their Allegiance art stand at a Walmart, mounted near the toy section, just looks goddamn beautiful to me. Their comics are in Walmart now, and you got Zach doing Hollywood stuff with Sly Stallone, and then Doug TenNapel is going to go back to DC Comics, I guess, and piss everyone off there.
God, it's so funny. Every time you say it.
It's a good thing. I mean, it's like I said, I just want to be entertained, and I think people do too. The reaction to that, of course, will make videos. I was thinking about making a video today, but I thought it might be too inside baseball to talk about Tess Fowler freaking out about Doug. Because she's such a horrible. I mean, I don't like Doug. Here's the thing. Like, I don't like Doug. I don't like Mike. I don't like Edwin. I think these people are lowlifes. But Tess Fowler's evil. So if it's like I would love to help Doug through this, what he's going to go through, but we don't have to. We're under no obligation to stand up for Doug. But holy shit, is Tess Fowler an evil human being?
Yeah, I don't know Tess Fowler. I just saw the tweet thing. I saw someone had screen capped one of her tweets, so she's unfamiliar to me. But I have two more super chats, and I have to wrap it up anyway. So Yellow Flash for $2 says graphic novel sales are now skewed with manga sales. So he's saying that the reason the sales are up is because they're throwing manga in there as well, and manga's huge. So manga's like carrying the ship.
That could be, yeah.
Refek Gufford for 38 HK. You've inspired me to go back into comics. Where do I start? Make it a man. My journey is kind of weird, and I don't know that I right now would say get back into comics, but it's a hard thing to do. Like this Critias thing too. It's like, I mean, you can screw yourself over. Yeah, you can disgrace yourself pretty easily. So take it slow would be my advice. Like start.
Did you see? By the way, I know you have to go, but speaking of Critias, did you see Mike on Twitter today?
No, Mike has blocked me. I don't get to see any of his hot takes. It's awful.
Mike, interestingly, he is relating to Critias's situation, and he's saying, "I don't know why Ethan Sciver threw Critias under the bus. Why, if a comic skater needed help, surely somebody who made $1 million should, for the sake of his brand, help out that creator."
You shouldn't.
Oh. Of course not. I just find it interesting why Mike is relating to Critias, a man who misspent all of his crowdfunded money and didn't put out a book. I'm wondering why Mike is relating to Critias and asking that I should help Critias and others like him. Where's my Lone Star 2? Where's my Monster Hunt?
Just to make it perfectly clear here, there is a theory out there that Mike is crowdfunding his next campaign so he can pay to produce and ship the last campaign. That's the theory. So
the last three campaigns, Adam. He owes Lone Star 2 and everything that comes with it. He owes Monster Hunt, and he he started another campaign for 9 variant cover reprints of Lone Star 1, and then he just started under a brand new Kickstarter account a cartoon reprint book that isn't doing very well either. That's 4 campaigns that this guy owes his fans right now. Well, 3.5. This one might not even get funded. This cartoon book might even not reach its goal. It should be my concern if people misspend their money and misappropriate their funds. I guess it's my responsibility to pay for it. Fuck that. I'm buying a jacuzzi.
Good for you. Yeah, totally. It shouldn't be your responsibility at all. And it's his fuck up for getting himself in that kind of situation. So I'm just saying that can happen. And who knows? I think you're on the money here with Mike. It's funny because I talked to Mike behind the scenes before I ever talked to you. So when I established that this narrative was out there, I tried to say, Mike, there's ways that you can squash this narrative. You talk to somebody you trust, show them your financial situation, get someone to vouch for you, all that. But if he's not going to do any of those things, it kind of makes me think, well, maybe the narrative is true.
Where's the book? I just find it interesting that it's like when he was scheduled to get his money for Lone Star 2, which was a substantial amount of money, suddenly, look, everyone, the Meg is in print and fulfilled. I'm fulfilling the Meg, my prior campaign, and the books that came with that. See, I told you, eat that, ComicsGate. All right, but where's Lone Star 2? Where's Lone Star 2? You got the money for that. Where is it?
Sometimes I feel also, too, that I feel like War Campaign is kind of like the police of ComicsGate, and the criminals don't always like the police. Because it seems like they're always sniffing out this stuff.
They have never been wrong. I will say this, you might not like what War Campaign says or the way they do it, but I will tell you this, they have never been wrong about anyone. They've always been right. And when they're going after someone, by the way, and they go after the same people like day after day, it's because those people are in daily struggles with War Campaign on social media. But whenever they say this guy, there's something up with him, it's funny that Critias disappeared right before, like the last thing he said before disappearing was, he said, War Campaign's picking a fight with me and I don't want... It's interesting. They're always right. They're always right. It's amazing. Hail War Campaign.
Yeah. Contrast for $5. What's up, Contrast? Ethan, which Watchmen ending do you prefer? Also, can I have a wrench, please? Because you aren't Sitch. Hell yeah, I'll give you a wrench. The movie or the graphic novel? Which is your ending, Ethan?
I prefer just an ending. I was never a fan of Watchmen.
Oh, really?
I read it twice.
That's it. I gotta hang up on you now.
Okay.
We have a difference of opinion on Pink Floyd, and now we have a difference of opinion on Watchmen. What the hell?
2 incredibly overrated, boring entertainment properties.
Oh my God. Man, you're tearing my heart out here, Ethan. I gotta make a video about what a terrible person you are.
Do it.
How you're trying to destroy the comic book industry. No, that's okay. Obviously, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I like that. Argue with them. Try to change their mind. Try to use persuasion. Maybe I'll convince Ethan someday that the movie ending is where it's at. Do you want to say anything to the audience before I end the stream?
All in all, we're just another brick in the wall.
Oh yes. I am gonna get a Pink Floyd cover out of Ethan before this is over. I'm gonna get one. He's got the perfect voice for Pink Floyd. I'll go ahead and leave it there. Thanks for your super chats, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.